glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. What is up, everyone? Hope you're enjoying a wonderful Friday. The TCC is here in effect, representing the red and the black and the white and the black.
True,
both sides. So that's pretty interesting.
Absolutely, man. And listen, man, so much has been happening in 49er freaking land.
Yep.
This is nuts. This is a crazy week.
Yeah, and I wonder if anyone else is having the issues with the way it looks on their phone or on their TV, because it looks funny to me.
But it looks fine on my end.
Well, I was just wondering. We'll go ahead and roll with it then.
There's what it looks like there.
That looks great. I'm glad it looks like that for you. The monitor that I'm looking at, it does not look like that. So,
well, we'll just have to rip Ant's monitor, and if there's issues or anything like that, chat. Let us know.
We're good to go. We're good.
Good. Just some minor technical
difficulties on my part, not on everyone else's. But we have some big news to get into, Alex, because the 49ers have been busy. And whenever the 49ers are busy, things get done. And they've been getting stuff done. So the first thing that they did was they locked up All-Pro Fred on a 5-year deal worth $95 million, with $40.5 million of that being guaranteed. And the big question was, first off, there were some people in the NFL land that think paying All-Pro Fred that much money is just too much.
Were they talking to Kenny?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I would like to know if you think that was too much money, or is that what kind of par for the course of what you expected?
No, that's about par for the course what I was expected. In all honesty, it feels like a team-friendly deal. It really, really does. This is like 3 deals in one. It's not just one real deal. There's a lot of opt-out opportunities for the 49ers. There's opt-out opportunities for Fred Warner. This is really just it's a deal that is good for Fred Warner short term and great for Fred Warner long term. And if Fred Warner just decides to ride out the contract, it's great for the 49ers long term, because if the TV contracts go up, and they're going to, for the football,
they 100% are.
Football has not had the same hit that the other sports have had in terms of viewership and drop off and things of that nature. In-person game stuff, yes, but part of that, it was COVID. So we'll see what happens this year. I think everyone's excited to get back to football. I think you're going to see a lot of places that the worry and the concern about people showing up is going to be washed away by the amount of people that flood in to watch games this year.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if Warner decides just to ride out the 5 years and just wait till that end of that 5th year, right before he gets his last big, huge, fat contract, the Niners are in business, because you're going to be paying him at that point. You got to imagine there's going to be a 2 or 3 different guys in the league, and guys that we haven't even seen played in the NFL yet. They're going to come in and get a big contract at some point down the line as well. And Fred will go from right now being the highest paid to potentially, 4th or 5th in that time frame. So the Niners may have themselves a steal here in the next 4 or 5 years.
There is one thing that I know for sure, is he will not see the end of this contract. They will renegotiate. They will figure this out, restructure, because they're not going to pay, him $23 million in 2025. Even though that might be the going rate for a linebacker at that point. Darius Leonard is about to reset the market once his deal is done. Fred Warner got out there, and luckily the 49ers got it done before Leonard got his, so that way they could set the market, and then it'll be reset. But it's nice the way that it worked out. When you're going over the numbers, in 2021, Fred Warner was slated to make $3.6 million in 2021. You know how much money he's slated to make now?
$3.6 million?
$3.6 million, because we had some craftiness by our guy Parag doing what he does, as he lowered Warner's base salary from $3.4 to $920,000 this year, and then took part of the bonus and moved it to 2022. That's why you see the uptick in $8.2 million. So he's done a very good job of structuring this so the 49ers get salary cap relief in 2021 and 2022, where Fred only in 2022 only accounts for $8.2 million. Still a very cheap price for the best linebacker in football.
The first 2 years are a great price. It's the first 2 years don't even average out at what the overall length of the contract with the salary is, which is just over $19 million, which makes him the highest paid linebacker in football. The first 2 years of his deal, he won't be the highest paid linebacker in football, which gives the Niners all the flexibility in the world, on top of the fact that you're going to probably move off of Jimmy Garoppolo save a ton of money there as well. The 49ers, this should be scary for the rest of the teams in the league, because the 49ers went from potentially being hamstrung by the cap to this move here puts them next season in full control. They can be super aggressive in free agency. They can be super aggressive come draft time. Mm-hmm. You can't sit tight and sit pat if your team's in the NFC West now.
Yeah, and what this means for the 49ers is we've said this for months now. Fred Warner's contract was going to get done. The extension was going to happen. We didn't need hashtag pay Fred Warner because the 49ers were going to make sure that this was going to happen. That's number one. Number two, we've been saying from the beginning, they did not need to move off Jimmy Garoppolo's contract this year, that they were structured to be able to handle keeping him on the books. They've proven that now. And they've proven it to the point to where once this deal got done, they started signing their rookies. Before we get into that, the fact that they were able to save enough money that they don't have to restructure anyone. They are going to have $4.4 million of free cap space right now. Going forward is what you're looking for anyways when you get into a season, so you can make a trade, a signing, whatever during the season without any single restructuring. Once again, these guys are wizards when it comes to numbers. They're wizards with how they've built the team and how they've adapted to what COVID made them do. This has been 100% a excellent offseason for this 49ers front office, and I can't really criticize anything they've done, and I can't get on board with the people that are already looking at 2023 and thinking that the 49ers are in deep trouble, because that was what was coming out of the Fred Warner. They could not criticize the Fred Warner actual signing because Fred Warner is the best linebacker in football. So they were hard-pressed to do that. They know they would have turned the fans on them, but what they did do was turn to, in 2023, we're in trouble because of this deal and Trent Williams' deal and George Kittle's deal. And you know what I have to say about that? If they had a plan now, they have a plan for 2023. And if you're going to start worrying about Nick Bosa in 2024, don't worry, because that's when the money for Armstead gets flexible and they can move off Armstead and retain Nick Bosa.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not concerned at all.
Yeah.
These guys have done a great job of crafting these contracts to make sure that you can address the key pieces that you need to address.
Yeah.
Bosa, obviously one of them. Armstead in a few years. As of right now, Eric Armstead, as he currently is constituted as a player in the system, by the time Nick Bosa's contract comes up and comes around, is expendable. They can do the same exact thing they did with the Buckner sort of thing, where you can move off of him, try and get a first-round pick or a high-round draft pick, and take a guy or trade up to get a guy very early in the draft to try and, again, just like they did with Buckner with Kinlaw, try and just rework the pieces, right? Rework the pieces and make them work and fit with the scheme. You can get Young again at the front four spot. Bosa will still be young. Kinlaw will still be young. And now you'll be adding an additional young guy on top that you can build for years to come. The plan is in place.
It is.
The methodology has been laid out. And people who are criticizing the methodology either A, don't understand the methodology or don't understand football and what it takes to what you're going to have, what kind of sacrifices you have to make in order to build a team and when to make those sacrifices, or B, this is how they get their attention. This is how they get people to click on their stuff. This is the only way they know how to do it. So it's like, okay, the criticism was for the longest time, Warner, they're not going to re-sign Warner. Maybe they haven't done it yet. Panic. And now that it's done, now it's too much money. And when the time comes, right, and they have to re-sign, they got to re-sign. They're not going to be able to re-sign Bosa. And then they re-sign, they paid him way too much money.
Yeah.
And it's just a revolving door cycle. Same thing will happen when Trey Lance comes up. If Trey Sermon ends up going off and exploding in this system with this group, which we all believe he very well could be, especially if he stays healthy, then that is going to be the next big thing as well. They'll draw up and stir up. I mean, they're already doing the Mostert trade rumors are being thrown out there, which is just asinine.
Yeah, I don't get the Mostert trade rumors because we haven't even seen these rookies take a single football snap in the NFL, and already we're crowning them. And to quote Dennis Green, if you want to crown them, crown them.
Crowned it.
But, I think they're going to be good players, but let's pump the brakes on what these guys' expectations are. The fact that people are already saying like Trey Sermon is like the guy, I mean, they're acting like this guy is Barry Sanders already. And I like him, but with all things, he's a rookie and he needs to learn, and we need to give him time to develop. And I just don't understand it. And plus, none of the running backs on this roster do what Raheem Mostert does. Not one single one. Why would you trade him? You are going all in on trying to win a Super Bowl, and he's going to be a big part of that. So, Raheem, if you're watching this, we're behind you.
Big fans. Really love you.
Yeah.
In fact, you could come on the podcast. Literally, open invitation whenever you want.
Of course.
You can just like shoot us a little message and DM on Twitter, and then we'll just stop everything that we're doing and just cancel whatever we have planned for the show or whatever we're recording, and just hop on with you instead.
Yeah, we'll go straight speed on that one.
Absolutely,
we'll surf into that one. So yeah,
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, you should do that.
I think that this also was them showing their hand and tipping their hand on what the future looks like. They realize how big the TV deal is going to be, as far as they know what the salary cap is going to balloon to. So now they've bridged the gap to get there. And now they've bridged the gap to get there. We know over the next 2 years, the 49ers can compete for a championship. This year with Jimmy Garoppolo at the helm, next year with Trey Lance. But another thing that has become quite evident, Alex, and I want to see what you feel about this, is we do not have a quarterback as the face of the franchise. We have two guys, one on offense, one on defense, a linebacker and a tight end that are the face of this franchise. That is something that's going to be so wonderful for Trey Lance, because right now he's going to be able to develop without all the attention of every single question, every single thing on them. These two guys can lead the team. He's not expected to lead it right now. That also takes a little bit of pressure off Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that is awesome that our number one guys are a linebacker and a tight end.
I don't hate it. Some coaches and some fans, this is driving them up a wall. And I've had some conversations with 49ers fans, including a teacher of mine who's a 49ers fan, and watches the podcast.
Nice.
So, how you
Shout
doing,
out.
sir? But he's brought up and mentioned to me that the fact that the quarterback isn't one of the leaders is a concern to him. He's worried that this means we may not have a true leader offensively. And as a coach, I can tell you what, when your point guard, in basketball, for example, when I was there, when your point guard isn't necessarily your leader and your best player is your leader, your team performs better.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why your team performs better is because if your point guard isn't that guy, the quarterback isn't that guy that is the face of the franchise, but he's being asked to be the face of the franchise, if he can't handle it or he can't cut the snuff, the entire team suffers.
Yeah.
In this scenario, he isn't Jimmy and Trey Lance. Both are not the face of the franchise. They're not our best player. So they're not being asked to be the face of the franchise, to carry this team, to carry this roster. So not only does the pressure get pulled off, but now when they struggle, when they suffer, when Jimmy or Trey isn't playing very well or they're playing down, it's okay. Because that's not the guy that everyone's going to turn to. It's not the guy that you're going to lean on. And when the guy you're leaning on doesn't have the ball in his hands pretty much every snap, that's even better for your team. Because now you can target and go after and be specific and almost venomous with how you utilize those guys. Because you can use them at the right time when things are looking dreary or dull. And, Warner had brought up and talked about, right, he expects to be a little bit more of a blitzing linebacker coming up here in the future. Well, now you can ask Fred Warner to have a bigger impact on the field that isn't just, hey, I'm going to sit back here in coverage, and hey, I'm going to make a nice tackle at the line of scrimmage here. You can send him in for big sacks, big opportunities to make big plays, force fumbles, the whole 9 yard. I mean, there's a lot of ways to jumpstart your team when you got a couple of guys who are the face of your franchise that don't necessarily need the ball in their hands in order to make big plays on the field.
And thank you, David, for the super chat. David Campbell coming through. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
One thing I'll say is they are still going to be criticized
of course,
and looked at no matter what because they play the quarterback position. When I'm looking at this situation, I just see it as a nice situation for Trey Lance. As he's developing, he's not at least the main guy, going out and answering all the questions. He will have questions to answer, but he gives him time to take over and develop into a leader of this football team. He will be the face of the franchise in a short little minute. It's going to happen. It's just, it gives these guys time to develop, and that's what I like. I like when all the attention is not put on him right away, and he's able to kind of just blend in and develop. The one thing I won't get twisted about Jimmy Garoppolo, though, is he is a leader in the clubhouse. he does a good job behind the scenes of leading, and he also takes charge of the huddle. All these guys respect Jimmy Garoppolo. Even though the national media doesn't respect Jimmy Garoppolo, a lot of media members don't. Those players do, and that says a lot about him. He has the at least confidence of those players, and as long as he has that, they're going to listen to him, they're going to follow him, and he can still lead them to win some football games this year.
Agreed with you 100% there. Megan, appreciate the super chat. David and Megan hopping on right away and just showering us with the love. We really appreciate that.
We do.
Really do.
As far as moving on from that, Warner has kind of been making the media tour because of, the signing. I watched his press conference where he got to talk, but then he also went on KMBR and he had something that jumped out at everybody, and I think us in particular, was we've been talking about Dee Ford for a while, and we've been saying...
We've had a specific take on this, by the way.
We have, and we think he's going to be back, and we have a pretty good thought process that he's going to be out there playing a limited role, but he not only said that he looks good, he said he's back. And that means I think he's back to 2019 early season form, and if that is the case, good luck once we have him, Ebukam, Bosa, and Armstead rushing on third downs. Because, hey, I'm telling you right now, that is ultrasonic. That is a turbo tight. That's a goal blitz.
Oh my Lord,
coming at
dude.
you on third downs.
I mean, I can't even wrap my head around it. When I heard this, I had to kind of double take. Like, what? He's good and ready to go? Wait, you're the one saying this?
Yeah.
You're coming out and saying this, Fred.
Yeah.
And that for me speaks volumes to it actually being a reality, right? That this isn't just something. This isn't not happening. This is really, really occurring. Fred Warner, the face of the franchise, the guy who was just extended, going on a 49ers-based radio station and being given a platform and being like, hey, go ahead. Like, you say your piece, spill it, bring up Dee Ford, let's talk about him. And he goes, we'll see you. I'm hoping he gets better. No, he goes, no, he's good. He's ready.
Yeah.
He's good, dude. We've been on it. We've been saying it for a while because it seemed like it was going that way, and the Niners have been very nonchalant about talking about Dee Ford, and usually that means something's up, good or bad, but we were leaning more towards good. And by the way, David and Jason Ellsworth both.
Yeah. My
word almighty, it's a super chat train.
I would like to point out that both the donations that they made, 5 and 5, 55 is Dee Ford's number. Congratulations, guys. That was on point.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful.
We can start now, like those crazy moments in live chats for the 49ers cutback and post those. So congratulations, guys.
Symmetry.
Way to go. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But Mr. 5-5, Fred Warner bringing it up and talking about it, to me, solidifies it as not BS.
Yeah.
It's not nonsense anymore. 49ers fans can start to get a little bit more excited now. Dee Ford is going to be on the field. Again, the amount of time curtail expectations, but I do fully expect that when Dee Ford is on the field, we're going to get, like you talked about, that 2019 version of Dee Ford. So if we're getting 30 snaps a game of that version of Dee Ford, my golly gee gal willikers, man. The offensive lines, you better watch out because, like you just said, Ebukam, Ford, Bosa, Armstead, that four right there is scary, but you can mix that up in any number of ways. Throw Kerr in there, it's scary. Kinlaw in there, it's scary. Maurice Hurst in there on certain downs, it's scary. That's just a scary group.
Well, and it does explain why they stayed away from Ingram and Houston, because they felt that Dee Ford was going to be healthy. I mean, I think everyone was looking at the edge pass rusher as maybe somewhere the 49ers needed to fill. But because Dee Ford is healthy, and the one thing I can say about Fred Warner tells the truth. Whether you like it or not, he's going to tell you what he actually thinks, what he actually sees, what he actually believes. He would not throw this out there if it wasn't true. So Dee Ford, as of right now, is healthy. How they manage him in training camp is going to be fun to watch. I want to see exactly what he looks like, how much he's actually practicing. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot. I think they're gonna protect him. They're gonna get him into games, and I think you're gonna see a third down specialist. You're gonna see him out there on third downs, and that is pretty much it. And you know what? I'm okay with that. If that is 12 to 15 times a game, I'm okay with that, because on those 12 to 15 times, he can absolutely dominate. One of the most important things for the 49ers is getting off the field on third down. One of the most pivotal things about going to a man system. You had to be able to run man coverage, so that way you could get off the field on third down. You add man coverage with Mosley and Verrett to go with this pass rush, and 100% you are ready to roll on third down, and that means getting off the field, allowing the offense to have short fields, and then capitalizing on that. I love the fact that Dee Ford is healthy, and now I understand the restructure and why they're holding on to him and not letting him just go, and also why he didn't retire.
No, 100%. And 49ers Ultimate Report, we appreciate that.
Yeah, John J., thank you.
John J., really appreciate that. Thank you for the $2 there in the Super Chat. The Super Chat train is live tonight. I love it. I love it, Cutback Crew. You're fantastic. Maybe it's because of the Cutback Crew shirt. It has nothing to do with Fred Warner. It's definitely the Cutback Crew shirts.
The Cutback Crew shirts, yeah.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
The NWO shirt, theme shirts are just, they're two of my favorites.
Yeah, I do enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's nice.
And you were right. By the way, Ant got his shirts before I did. So Ant had a little more of the test run spin on the shirts. He had to give me a little bit of the insight. You were 100% right. They feel great in the skin.
They do. They feel nice.
It was a little creepy when you said it the first time, but no, it makes sense now.
Yeah.
So if you want something that feels great on the skin, you should 100% head on over to the 49ers Cutback shop right up there on the top there and get yourself some merch. And also, if you're new here to the channel, make sure you subscribe. I forgot to plug it at the start. You have to hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 2,000 subs before season. We're trying to get there. We're pushing. We're grinding. Yeah. So help us out. Hit that subscribe button today as well, and that notification bell. Yeah. That way, anytime there's more breaking 49ers news, you're here for it, because it wasn't just Fred Warner this week, Ant.
No.
Who else got signed?
Trey Sermon and Ambry Thomas. They took care of their third-round picks, and they made sure that these guys got locked up. And the terms of them, you're going to notice, are very similar. They're 4-year deals worth $4.8 million.
It's crazy.
And because they're third-round picks.
Oh, okay.
That's why everyone knew what the money was going to be like. It's the only reason that, like, Trey Lance isn't done and some of these guys, it's all about language in the contract. There are certain things that are going to be, I mean, let's be honest, Lance's deal is probably going to be fully guaranteed. You know, it's over $30 million. I can't remember. I think it's like $34 million that he'll end up getting, but it's not a done deal yet. That's why we haven't reported it. Once it is, we'll be on that.
And we'll be on it, and it'll be exciting because now the last rookie will have inked his deal, right? There's no more conversations or anything else to be discussed or talked about in regards to the 49ers rookies, and now we just get to focus solely on training camp and solely on this roster. Again, the people who are freaking out about the rookie contracts not being done yet, it's like, just take a step back, and just take a minute, like take a breath, champ. It's going to be a-okay. You know, it's funny that those two contracts specifically got done immediately after Warner's got done. It's almost like there was a plan in place. Like once they got Warner's stuff finalized and taken care of, it's like, okay, now we can get these two secured and locked up. We can then worry about Trey Lance and getting his stuff locked up. It's almost like there was a priority and a tier list in terms of how to get this done.
Yeah, it's dominoes. You know, I mean, they needed one domino to fall so the rest could fall. I think they had an idea of what Fred Warner's contract was going to look like, what they wanted it to look like, but they had to make it happen. You know, they had to work it out and make everything that was going to happen work out the way that they needed it to work out. Mm-hmm. So you need to have money, flexible money, to be able to use. And then if you needed to restructure, you could have restructured. But if you don't have that money readily available, you couldn't make that deal with Fred Warner. Now, it all worked out because Fred Warner is a 49ers guy, so that is wonderful. The fact that he helped the 49ers out, worked out the contract, I don't think it was even a question. I think he was actually even more pliable than George Kittle was last year, because Kittle was trying to reset the market for tight ends. He wanted to further the position, where I think Fred Warner was just trying to get what he felt he deserved, but also respect the team because he wants to win championships. Yeah,
and listen, that is becoming more and more apparent about Kittle. I think long term, and this is hard to say, long term down the line, if Kittle continues this meteoric rise at the tight end position, we may have some issues going forward, because the whole tight end U aspect is just that, is taking the tight end position and trying to elevate it past what is being viewed as currently. And I will tip my hat to him all day for that. But as a 49ers fan, that's also concerning, because if he continues his meteoric rise, eventually at some point, what he's making now is going to be mere peanuts to what he's going to be wanting and what the tight end market is going to end up becoming.
Yeah, the one thing that you can say, though, is in college, the colleges now are producing wide receivers at an all-time level.
Sure.
Wide receivers are actually going to become diluted, as you're going to be able to pick up speedy wide receivers and stuff that are a lot cheaper, where the tight end position, finding guys that are as good as George Kittle are different. Plus, this was George Kittle's first contract, so he wanted to establish it. Plus, he wanted to set up his family for the future, you know, for life. He's put in the work. He wants to do that. So yes, George Kittle did that, but a second contract might not look the same. A second contract might be something more team favorable. Even this one wasn't that bad, but more team favorable. Maybe he wants to win a championship. We'll see what happens in the Trey Lance period. If they win Super Bowls, you don't know. George Kittle might go after another big contract, but if not, he'll be trying to get that ring, and it could change his mindset on what that deal looks like.
Very well could be the case, and that's just a bridge you're gonna have to cross when you get there. And I teach their own. We want George Kittle, and we want nothing but success for George Kittle. I think every 49ers fan feels that way. What he's done for this organization, this franchise so far has been absolutely incredible. And luckily for us, that's a ways off.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it. You don't have to toss and turn and have nightmares at night. He's signed. He's going to be here for a while. He's happy for now. And we just got to hope that this offense continues doing the things that it's been doing with him in it. Because if that's the case, then it's going to be very, very hard for this team to be unsuccessful.
And we have the highest paid linebacker, the highest paid
tight end,
offensive lineman, and the highest paid tight end.
You'll love to see it. And they're also the three best at the position in the league, so...
Yes.
I mean, it should happen.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's going to happen. And I think we could see elevation from other players. I know they put out a top 50 list, and the 49ers had...
Bosa was in the top 50.
Yeah, we had 4 guys. It was Kittle, it was Trent Williams, it was Warner, and it was Bosa. And don't be surprised if next year there's a 4th guy on that list.
You mean a 5th guy?
Oh, 5th guy, I'm sorry.
Oh, you gonna tease me like that?
Well, I think Brandon Ayuk will ascend into the top 50, and that's your guy. So I think that a second year of production similar to what he had spread over a 17-game season, he can definitely do it.
I agree with you.
So I think he can ascend to a top 50. And I think part of it, the reason I say that too is I think he's going to get the recognition because for some reason national media loves Brandon Ayuk. And that's great. I love it too. That way, he gets the national recognition that he deserves. But they have definitely jumped and clamped onto this guy. It could be the Philadelphia jump over the top, something like that. But they see something in him that they want to market and they want to go after. So he doesn't show a lot of personality like a George Kittle or any of that. He's just kind of more of a business guy, but I think he could elevate into that top 50.
I'm not going to lie. That's my favorite type of wide receiver is the business wide receiver. And Alex Faulkner, you brought up a great point, too. We also have the best fullback in football. That is accurate.
That is true. You know what? That's something that we didn't consider. Is he also the highest paid fullback? That I'm pretty sure he is. But I think because they classify everyone as running backs, then that is not on there. So we do, I believe, have the highest paid fullback as well.
Which you love to see. And in all honesty, it's his contract, too, what he's making for what his impact is at the fullback position, it might be understated and underpaid.
Yes.
Could very well be.
I mean, we're going to have some other questions next year, along the way as far as contracts go, but we'll worry about that for another year because Pro Bowl Jason Verrett is coming and Pro Bowl Dre Greenlaw are coming.
Exactly.
Just get ready for that. And who can forget that we only signed Ebukam to a 2-year deal? After what he does this year, I'm pretty sure they're going to try to re-sign him again for an extension.
I would, because you and I both think he's going to have a monster season.
I do. I think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that at all whatsoever. And speaking of guys coming to San Francisco, we were speaking of specifically guys on the roster who are going to be coming in and being Pro Bowlers. But there was a guy that was brought in to fill that 90th man roster spot.
It was.
And we did bring somebody in. We knew they were going to.
Yeah.
It was just a matter of when, and they made the move.
Yeah, Nsimba Webster they brought in. And I didn't know much about him, I'll be honest. When they claimed him off waivers from the Rams, I didn't know much. But I went ahead and jumped over and checked it out. I wanted to see exactly who he was, and he's a returner. He's a kick and punt returner. Is that Matt Callaway?
Hot dang, Matt Callaway with the $4.99. Debo that like button because Debo lays the hits down on everybody. I agree with that. You should Debo that.
I like that a lot. And if Debo's kind of one of my guys. I love Debo. But we're talking about Webster.
That may become a catchphrase, man.
Yeah, I do like that too.
Appreciate this. Super.
Webster is at least another reason we brought up the Travis Benjamin versus Richie James. It was kind of poo-pooed by some people.
It was poo-pooed by a lot.
Other people told me that they like the perspective and now they're rethinking it. So people are looking at it from different perspectives. But I think the Webster claim, it could be nothing, or it could be a signal that, yes, the 49ers do think the kick return and punt return game still needs to be addressed, and they're going to give this young cat a opportunity to go out there and prove that he can win the job. I still think Richie James would be ahead of Webster, But overall, it's not a bad move.
Kick returns, he's 21.7 last year and 28.5 his rookie season in 2019. That's a lot better than what we've been getting in San Francisco.
A lot better.
That's huge. That's the difference, right, between right now when we get into the red zone and kick a field goal. That 20 yards is the difference between potentially having to punch it in from the 1 or settling for a 30-yard field goal. That's huge. The kick return game cannot be understated in San Francisco for the 49ers. So this guy here, the 90th man that they've now brought in, the last guy on that roster spot, I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. Because this is not a guy right now they're bringing in to compete as a wide receiver for wide receiver reps right now. This is a guy specifically with a special teams role in mind.
Well, and I think he has to take wide receiver reps so to make this roster.
He's going to have to, obviously, yes.
So, I mean, he's going to have to go out there and prove it. One thing you will love is he's from Eastern Washington and was former teammates with Kendrick Bourne, which I know you're happy to hear about. I went back and watched some of it. You know what's interesting about Webster is when I watched him do kick returns and punt returns, he seems explosive. When I watched him in the pass game, not as much. I don't know why it doesn't translate there as much, but I didn't see him like with a lot of hole shot touchdowns. I seen him get tackled. So that was something that was interesting to me because I don't know, I guess when I watched him make his first punt return with the Rams, I was like, oh, okay. And then when I seen him catch the ball, I'm like, what's the difference here?
It was so you went from, oh, okay to, oh, okay.
It was like, oh, okay to, okay, I understand why you got cut, and now the 49ers are claiming you off waivers.
Sure.
I think that's where it went from. The film doesn't lie. And like I said, you can watch if you watch highlights, somebody's going to look special. Mm-hmm. If you watch film, you're going to find out sometimes people are special in areas of the game, but not all areas.
Hold on a second. Are you telling me that highlight reels are not a great way to evaluate talent?
Yes.
You're telling me that if I just watch all of the best clips of an individual player, that I'm going to get a warped perception of what that player can do?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
I mean, yeah.
I'm stunned.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
It's unbelievable, right?
That's blasphemy.
I have seen highlight films get people college scholarships and stuff. So.
I've also seen a highlight film that you made for someone that got them a college scholarship, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
It's true.
Oh my Lord. So look, I mean, it's one of those things for me where I am excited about the possibility of what the impact is in special teams, but I haven't seen anything on the field for me to be like, oh, this guy's for sure making the roster. This is definitely a guy that's going to compete and have an opportunity. He's going to have a chance to make his biggest impact on special teams and then hopefully be able to grasp the system. I think the positive thing for him, right, is going from an offensive-minded coach like McVay to Shanahan. There's probably not going to be a big hurdle and a big obstacle for him to overcome terminology, language, things like that, scheme. It's just going to be the differences in playbook, routes he's needed to run and asked to run, and the way they want to attack the field with him on the field.
There's two ways to look at this. One way is, like I kind of brought up before, that he's somebody that's they're bringing in to see if he can improve the return game and be a special teams guy. The other angle is they're bringing him in, and actually he's meeting with the defensive coaches all the time because they're trying to find out exactly what the Rams are doing in these meetings and how how they were going to use people and how Matthew Stafford is picking up the offense and all the ins and outs of what the Rams are doing, that this is more strategic about getting information on the Rams and less about Webster himself. That is something I thought initially that, hey, this is one of those Seahawks and 49ers always picking up each other's players. Now the 49ers are doing it with the Rams to get intel on what they're thinking, especially with the Rams losing Akers. They've got one running back now with NFL experience, and everyone else is never even taken a snap.
It's not looking good for the Rams' backfield. So if you're a fantasy football person, you're sitting there going, you know what? I'm really excited about what Cam Akers could do and this Rams offense could do. Slow your roll a little bit. If this is a big shot to somebody and got to be a gut shot for somebody on that Rams team, it's Matthew Stafford, who has never had a run game, and now you don't have a running back. You don't have the workhorse back to lean on and to lead on this year, which means Matt Stafford is going to be again asked for another time in his career to have to put the team on his back and his arm and lead them down the field, and he doesn't have a great O-line.
No. And won't that also make the 49ers a little more leery about who they cut?
Yes.
Because now the Rams are sitting there. If you cut Wayne Gallman, he's a Ram. If you cut JaMychal Hasty, he's a Ram. There's nobody getting to the practice squad. So somebody's got to come up with some sort of injury here in the preseason, some sort of injury, and get them, through, so that way
Get them on a pup list.
Get them on a pup list so they can be
secured.
protected, because you do not want to lose someone to a divisional rival.
No.
And any one of these 5 guys could be dominant.
Well, here's the thing, right? Is there now a chance? Does this Cam Akers injury now completely open the door to the Niners only keeping a second, only keeping 2 quarterbacks and not rolling with a third and using that extra roster spot to hold on to another running back?
100%. Yeah, I think so. Especially if your running backs can contribute on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we brought in a return guy, but if Elijah Mitchell or Jermichael Hasty are returning kicks or punts, that makes them more flexible and you can use them. So, yes, you could keep 2 quarterbacks, keep 5 running backs and juice, and you would still be fine in your numbers. I think it is going to be hard for them to decide whether to keep 5 running backs or to keep 7 wide receivers. They're going to have big decisions to make there. I can't wait to talk about the 53-man roster because I think that's going to be exciting too, the breakdown of just how the ins and outs and the tough decisions the 49ers are going to have to make because they've absolutely loaded and stacked this roster.
Listen, the Rams fans acting like that's not a big deal. I'm seeing Arizona Cardinals fans acting like the DeAndre Hopkins tweet isn't a big deal. Yeah. And if I'm a Cardinals fan, I'm mildly concerned. I would be mildly concerned. You made a deal to bring this guy in. This guy kind of is the security blanket for Kyler Murray. There are games last year that you don't win and you're not even in if DeAndre Hopkins isn't on the field. So I would have questions and be a little worried about what Hopkins said, but at the same time, it's one of those things with Hopkins, each their own. Anyone that feels that they have to stand by something, and especially in this situation for him, right, where he feels like might be potentially doing more harm to his team than good, that's not a selfish action. That's selfless, 100% selfless. But if I'm a Cardinals fan, I'd be concerned, and Rams fans should 100% be concerned about Cam Akers not being there because you don't have a running back.
No, and McVay is not Shanahan, okay? No. Yes, they run a similar system, but it's not like running backs come out of nowhere for the Rams, right? They had Todd Gurley.
And you drafted him high.
He was a big-time running back. Mm-hmm. Now you have Cam Akers, who was a big-time running back at Florida State. He's a poor man's Dalvin Cook, so you know how he's going to fit into the system. Now you don't have that 100%. You're looking around that room and wondering who there, because there's nobody there that you will feel really comfortable with running the outside zone and having explosive plays.
Sure.
I just don't see it. Maybe we're going to see some sort of a move for a running back. There are still veteran running backs out there. If I was the Rams, I would probably call Frank Gore just to get him on the roster. I don't know if that is going to happen or not.
Yeah, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, guaranteed.
Well, yeah, and that's more than you're going to... Well, they need somebody there.
They need something.
They need somebody to help. You can't go in there with 4 rookie running backs or whatever it is. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what the Rams do. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Cardinals do as well with that whole situation and how that plays out. But I'll tell you what, man, the Niners making this move tells you that, again, it is, Rob, that you were right. It is too sweet. They are focused on improving this roster every way that they can. This is a situation for them where it's a very low risk, potentially low reward, but at the very, very least, it's a middle to high reward scenario where if this guy can translate in your special teams room and can improve your special teams in the return game, both punt and kick, or just one of them, please, for the love of God, one of them can improve, then your team's better.
Yeah, that's the truth. The 49ers are going to continue to look around, make moves when they need to, but you just gotta kind of take everything with a grain of salt, because the 49ers have brought in how many receivers over the last couple of years?
A lot.
They take a look at him and then they move on or whatever. So we don't know how long he's going to stick. I think he'll be with the 49ers for the start of training camp. How long he lasts will be kind of just based on how well he does in training camp and how well he plays. But he's got a uphill climb to make this roster, just like some of the other guys at the end, like River Craycraft and Austin Watkins Jr.
Yeah, they got a lot to climb there. A big old mountain, a big old hill. Jagged asked her a little bit earlier too, with Mr. 54 signed, do you think it might have a domino effect and convince other guys in the defense to sign, like Verrett, Tart, etc.?
Verrett and Tart are complete wait until next year's. Verrett knows that if he goes out and he has a Pro Bowl season, which he's perfectly capable of having, which I think he's going to have, that the 49ers are going to be willing to give him a long-term contract. He understands Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be off the books next year, and there's going to be money to play with, and you would want to lock down a corner of that caliber to one. He knows he can get one more good contract. He likes playing in the Bay Area. He likes being, around here in California. So I think he knows that. With Tart, it's all about staying healthy. If Tart stays healthy, the 49ers will look and be interested in bringing him back. Now, they were completely comfortable with letting him go test the free agent market.
True.
And he came back as a bonus because he came back with the money, but the money that was cheap, and they were able to sign him. I think that if he gets going and go on the move, if somebody offers him a big deal, they will let him go. They have Talanoa Hufanga now. They've brought in a Tony Jefferson. They've basically proven they can bring in safeties and fill that role. They have Jimmy Ward locked up. They'll have to make a decision on Tarvarius Moore next year, and choosing between Tarvarius Moore and Jaquiski Tart might be a real decision. If Tart goes out there and plays at an all-pro level, they can't afford him. That's just plain and simple.
Yeah.
Of course, I say that, but they've proven people wrong with every single signing. So I will say this: in Parag we trust, and until he's gone, they have the opportunity to sign him. So I just think it would be a little bit more difficult if you're having to pay everyone money. So I think you paid Jimmy Ward. I don't think you can pay his running mate as much, but you can go with a younger guy.
You could, and you could be one of those things, right, where you brought in Tony Jefferson in case, to shore up that secondary and to shore up that safety room. If Tart stays healthy the whole year, plays great, looks great, has a fantastic season, and Tony Jefferson is sitting there playing really well too, it's Tart's job, and Tart doesn't lose it. You very well could bring Tony Jefferson back the next year on another cheap deal and roll one more year with a veteran guy. Because you and I both feel like he has a lot of upside as well. There's a lot of ways for them to address that safety room and the other guys they got coming up in free agency down the line here. It's just going to be a wait and see scenario with a lot of them because we don't really know where the cap is going to go. You have an idea, but you don't know for sure. And if there's big money on the table, then the 49ers might not be in trouble re-signing some of these guys here in the next 2-3 years. They may be in business, in really great business, especially with Jimmy coming off the books, rolling with a small contract in Trey Lance there at the quarterback position. 49ers will have all the flexibility in the world.
They will. And, they're going to have other moves that they're going to make that are going to save money, like, probably Laken Tomlinson, probably going to be gone in the future, and then they'll slide in a younger player there and save money. There's going to be moves that are going to happen, and when they do, the 49ers will have the flexibility. They have a plan, and they just got to stick to that plan. Some of these deals will get done. Some of them are going to be in almost everything now is going to be in the 2022 offseason. That's where we're going to start getting a lot of answers. And also that's when they'll start talking to Debo about possible extension and all that because he'll be going into the last year of his contract. So lots of question marks and things coming up. But once again, Debo needs to stay healthy. But we don't have to worry about that now. Let's worry about getting that quest for 6, getting out there and trying to win a championship. We've got Fred done. And we're starting to get these rookies done, and that's what's important.
It's most important. And the next most important thing on this list is not about any sort of player. It's not sort of anything like that. Fans, faithful, cutback crew. It's the fact that training camp is going to be open for fans, and tickets go on sale July 26th.
Yeah, July 26th. The general public has access to get tickets. They're $10 each. All that's being donated to charities. Dwight Clark Foundation, I believe.
I love it.
So opportunities to go see the 49ers play. I know we plan on going to watch the 49ers play.
We do.
In training camp and getting the whole feel of what's going on. I want to watch it with my own eyes. I want to see what it looks like. If I could go down there every day, I would. That's just how I am about football and 49ers football in general. Because I want to be able to see practice, evaluate it, and then let everyone know exactly what I see because that's what I love to do.
It's true. He does love to do that. So it's going to be fun. The hope is we can get down there for a day, watch training camp, watch what's going on, watch the practices, and then give you a nice from practice, from training camp vlog sort of setup. Maybe we'll see Grant Cohn out there.
Yeah, maybe
we can get Thanos to give us a hot take, or we could just watch any of his content.
Or we could just NWO style take over a show.
Oh,
do we just
Cone Zone takeover?
Hey, do we just wait in the wind, waiting behind him, just wait, and then pull off the whole NWO style
What's up,
takeover?
Thanos? How you doing?
Yeah. I heard this is where the big boys play.
We'll even wear our TCC shirts right here that we have on right now.
We 100% will.
Gonna have to bring lots of merch that day. Tons of merch.
We'll show them what the measuring stick looks like.
Got it. They got to know. He's got to know. Dip the stick in. You see, you don't measure. You don't. Sorry. Been found wanting.
Oh yeah, you've been weighed and measured and been found wanting.
Oh, we have too much fun over here on the 49ers.
Thanks, Monica.
Monica, with the cutback crew, assemble. Thoughts on the new COVID forfeits? Cards got less than 50% vaccinated, so we better not lose checks. Then again, we'd get a W. We actually were going to talk about this last. We can talk about it now.
We can talk about it now.
It's a great transition. Monica, thank you for the nice segue there. We really appreciate it.
we were. This is on the docket, something we need to talk about because the one thing with COVID is it has changed the way the NFL approaches business. And last year there were so many games that were Tuesday, Wednesday, that they moved games around. They are not planning on restructuring anything. They want to be set in their TV deal. They want to be set in how, they kind of got away with things last year. This year, everything's back. There's a reason they don't play Friday night NFL football. They have agreements. There's reasons they don't play Saturday football early on. Some of the deals that they've been set up to do. So the first thing is a team with an outbreak can forfeit a game. And the way it was worded is it was, if they're unvaccinated, causes, the turnout. But I think it's going to be anything that happens. Any sort of an outbreak is going to cost you the game now. Last year they kept trying to postpone it, nothing happened with it. Now it costs you. I'm not as over the top upset about this because I believed last year you should have had to forfeit a game if you had an outbreak. I know it's not your fault, but this is the way things happen. If you don't show up, it's not like the game didn't happen. You didn't show up because something happened. Somebody wasn't disciplined in your room, and that's how you got it. And unfortunately, it happens, and you just live with that. But we know as coaches that if we didn't show up for a game, we are going to have to forfeit the game. And I think that is understandable to a point. So I'm not 100% over the top upset at the NFL on this. I kind of have I understand point of view.
I have an understand point of view while also just being concerned about the verbiage and the way they worded some things and how they want to attack certain aspects of it. But that's personal, right? That's my personal take and spin on it. Overall, I understand what you're trying to do, which is you're trying to de-incentivize bad behavior during the season that's going to lead to you being irresponsible, putting yourself in a bad situation, and then affecting the entire league. Because you wouldn't be just affecting your team, you're affecting every person in the league. Every team, every player, every owner, media, TV, you name it. Anyone that covers or discusses football, us here on the 49ers Cutback, you impact everybody. When you're doing really dumb things or things that you shouldn't do or things that could lead to you catching COVID or taking COVID into the facility, an outbreak occurring. Because it doesn't matter. Right now, it doesn't seem to matter if you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, and there have been a lot of reports that have come out and said things, that even if you're vaccinated, the new stuff that's coming out, you can still catch.
Yeah.
So it's really not going to matter whether you've had it or not. Again, it's going to come down to decision-making, the types of your decisions you're making when you're not at the practice facility, who you're around, what you're doing, how you're doing it, etc.
And part of that language, too, that they put into it was if you're vaccinated and you're asymptomatic on a test, as long as you test negative twice in a 24-hour period, you're good to go. Mm-hmm. That is one incentive that they put into it. So if you're vaccinated, you have that opportunity to come back earlier. Yep. Where if you're not vaccinated, you're going to deal with the same testing problems as last year, and you're seeing players around the league going on the COVID-19 reserve list again. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, this is the world we live in now. COVID is going to be out there, and it's still going to dominate. Yeah, it's going to dominate. I was reading something today. It said potential lockdowns again coming November, December. Okay, I'm not worried about lockdowns. I'm worried about full stadiums.
I'm worried about full stadiums too. That's all I care about. That's what I want, which is why when I read that, a little red flag went up, and I'm like, please God, no. To quote
the Joker in The Dark Knight, there's no going back. Okay, there's no going back. We're not doing that again.
I like it.
So I think to a point, the COVID thing is so hard to talk about because there's so many different angles and perspectives. People have personal feelings either way. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I'm only going to look at it from an analytic point of view as this is what I understand from the league and how they're handling it. The same way I would if I was dealing with an employer, right? Yep. An employer is going to have a certain set of standards that I have to obey to. So I don't want to go in too much into anything personal as far as that goes. I just know that this is, matter of fact, what the players have to deal with. This is what the recommendations are from the league and what the responsibilities are from the league. And the players have to make their choice. I did like what Fred Warner said. He's been vaccinated, and he's open to everyone as far as a tool for them to come to get resources, but it's their personal choice whether they want to get it or not. I think that is a good way to look at it because I think there is, some people that, have personal belief on it. And so you can't, judge everything in one set of, it's not in a vacuum. Everything's not the same.
The lens is different for everybody.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're just happy the 49ers aren't going to do like the Bills, where they're having like an actual rivalry between players on Twitter over unvaccinated and vaccinated, they're like going at it. They're going to have like a fall brawl in the locker room. So as long as that's not happening to us, and maybe the Bills aren't really an AFC team we need to worry about now because they're going to go off on each other.
Listen, I get it. Bills players, you see Bills Mafia jumping through tables. You're like, these guys are crazy. We got to up the crazy too a little bit. I get it. But in terms of locker room chemistry, iffy.
Yeah.
Iffy. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, there's going to be big questions that come forward. I seen Tommy talking about we're not going 100% capacity. As of right now, every single stadium's 100% capacity.
As at this point in time.
And in Santa Clara, the COVID numbers are still really low.
Yep.
So as long as they stay low, they're going to make this happen. I think you're seeing it right now in LA, here in California. They have a mask mandate, and people aren't doing it. I mean, people are just not doing it.
Yep.
I think that it's normal for the uptake to happen, but in California, we're locked down for so long, we're masked for so long, we just took them off. We don't want to put them back on.
That's the problem. There's a lot of people. It's that that uncaged feeling. Now you feel you get that little bit of taste of freedom, right? Everyone made their sacrifices to keep everybody safe, and now that you got your little taste of freedom back, you're like, I don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, and some people wear the mask all the time.
Sure.
I seen people say, hey, they're going to wear them no matter what. Do you? That is fine.
Fred Warner's approach to this and what he said in that interview was, I feel the approach most people should be taking, and it's a very responsible approach, right? I have my set of things that I've done, my research.
Yeah.
This is what I'm comfortable with, and I know other people are going to be comfortable with other things, and that's fine. But hey, you need someone to talk to about it. You want some more information. You want a different lens and perspective. I'm right here.
Yeah,
have a chat.
Because sometimes maybe it's a fear, right? You don't understand what you could possibly get from it, what could happen. And you get into it, and then somebody's able to shed light on something. Maybe you feel more comfortable with it. But it's all about perspective. And I think I've exhausted COVID-19 as far as talking about it, thinking about it. The one thing that did come out of it that's good is the new rules for the football. You still have the expanded practice squads, and you have the 6 veteran players, or the 6 players you can 6 veteran players on the roster, and then 4 players that you can protect.
Yeah.
I love that. I think that was a great thing. IR isn't as long. You have like the shorter IRs. Those are great things that came out of it. So there are positives that came from this.
Yeah, there are 100% some positives. And look, I think for as much as the league has done sometimes where you go a little bit over the top, it's one of those things where as long as you're keeping the players' safety in mind and as long as you're trying to keep the integrity of the league in mind, then you're always going to go maybe a little bit above and beyond where you should sometimes when you're dealing with something new because you don't know how to necessarily attack it head on or go about it the right way. So the important thing here is that the league is doing the things to keep the league not only afloat, functioning, but not relevant, but from completely imploding from chaos, right? While also keeping the players protected. As long as you're doing those things, I'll live.
Well, and what's smart about the practice squad rules is that is also going to be very beneficial when they move to now 17 games, but then eventually 18 games. It's a bridge to get to that where you're going to have larger rosters and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think that is what is important about it. So that is nice. But I don't want to talk about that stuff anymore.
No, we're done with that. It is what it is, right? We're forced to talk about it because it's a story, it's a thing, and it's continually happening, and it just doesn't feel like it's ever going to go away. And whatever, at the end of the day, it's over. It's done with. We covered it. It's there.
Well, I think because it was saturated during the season, like we had to talk about it a lot.
100%. I mean, we had to talk about it. It was because it was a weekly occurrence, right? Every week someone was going on the COVID IR list. It was crazy. For real. It was great. But in brighter news,
it is
right. In less dramatic news, in some aspects, because in other aspects, some people are going to take this and freaking run with it.
Oh, they're running.
You think? Did Thanos go out and try and collect the Infinity Stones again the minute he saw this?
You know what? I don't know for sure. I haven't been watching his content.
No, neither have I.
But
I got more important things.
I have seen some stuff on the Twitter.
Oh boy, wonderful. So let's get into this, folks. Let's get into this. Mohammed Sanu said Trey Lance has an it factor.
Yep.
And now everyone's doing the thing, the overreact thing.
You mean like when you threw the notes in the air?
Yeah, they're being dramatic. I wanted to emphasize the dramatization of the situation here because people are starting to to losing. Oh, he's the it factor, the face of the franchise. He hasn't played a snap or a down or thrown a route against the live defense, but this is the guy forever and all time. And it's like, can we take it with what it is, right? Mohammed Sanu says he has an it factor. That's great. You know who else has an it factor? Me. I have an it factor. Ant has an it factor. The Cutback crew has an it factor, right? Everyone has an it factor in some aspect in some way. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're ready to be it or to do it. It just means that thing exists. The potential for it exists for you to blow up and be extremely successful, or for you to do, to your heart's content, whatever it is that you're doing or whatever field it is that you have this it factor. I like the comments from Sanu because you're building up the young guy.
Yeah.
You're a veteran who's played with an MVP level quarterback. So that has weight there. The comment has weight. But can we not fly off the handle here and go to immediately to Trey Lance is now the greatest quarterback in the league and the greatest quarterback on the 49ers roster? Can we just slow down?
I think how people respond to those, kind of those talking points can't be controlled. But I understand what Mohammed Sanu is saying. I understand George Kittle said the same sort of thing early on.
It's true.
And everyone jumped with that as well.
Accurate.
What they are doing is looking at, what Trey Lance does, and they're saying, you know what, that guy right there has something special about him. There's something great about how he is and how he's going to be in the future, and they're pointing that out. That's the it factor. That's what they see. They see potential of him being a special player, and that's what they want to take advantage of. And Mohammed Sanu, of course, he's going to say that. He's working with this guy, and if this guy is really showing up like that, he wants to point out how great he is because he wants this guy to be built up, and they want to put this guy out there and build confidence. And we want Trey Lance to have an it factor. The response to it is what always just takes things over the top. Is if you took that point of view was like, yeah, he has an it factor, and when it's time for him to start, he's going to blow up. Like, he's going to know what they do is they take it all the way to the fact that because he has an it factor,
he needs to start.
It needs to start right now.
He is the guy
right, and that's not the case. That's not the point that needs to be made.
No.
But Trey Lance is, he's going to be great. And I think Sanu is just letting that out. I think this is the same thing George Kittle were doing. They say nice things about him, and deservedly so. He's been putting in work. He's been working hard, and he's going to be ready to go here pretty soon.
That is true, and I wish this thing would just stop playing on its own, but it just doesn't want to.
We got something going on there.
I wanted to read the entire quote in its entirety so you could understand why we're kind of drawing and coming to this conclusion rather than the other people who just see the it factor and immediately jump on it.
Yeah.
The quote is, "The thing about Trey is he's a very hardworking kid. He listens, very diligent, the type of kid that puts in the extra work. I just love his energy. You can tell the way he comes in the room and has so much charisma, and he just has that it factor. It's cool to see. Such a young kid, but still has a special talent. It's just up to him to keep working every day, do his thing, and his opportunity will come when it comes." If the last line doesn't solidify it for you that the Sanu thinks he's special, but that he's going to have to get there, it's going to take time for him to get to that point, and then that point is not right now, at this point in time, at this moment, that the potential exists for him to be special, but at this point in time, he's working to becoming special. If that doesn't click with people, then I don't know. There's no helping you, right? You're just going to be this person who latches onto information and overblows it all the time.
He's inevitable. I mean, it's going to happen. He's going to take over this team. He's going to be a dominant quarterback in this league. It's going to happen. That is the it factor. That is what is going to happen. I think people want it to happen now, and then some people just want to talk about it happening now because they want to create controversy. I mean, controversy creates clicks. If you are creating controversy, it's not something we normally do on this because we like to talk about it from a different lens and a different idea. But if you are looking to get a bunch of clicks, you say controversial things or things that you think people want to hear, and that is one of them. That Trey Lance is going to overjump Jimmy Garoppolo and take over this team. And there are still some Jimmy people out there. There's not as many, but there's still some Jimmy people out there. I am not a Jimmy person or a Trey Lance person. I'm a 49ers person. That's a football guy that looks at it and understands exactly what it takes as a coach to get these guys ready and what it takes for a young player to pick up football in general, and then a playbook that is like this. Yes, he ran something. I've heard he ran it at North Dakota State and he's going to be ready. No, he ran a offense at North Dakota State that had some things that were like it. It was not Kyle Shanahan's offense, and the translation is huge. You don't just go into something and you don't just jump from Spanish 1 to Spanish 4, for instance. You're not just going to jump right into it. Just because you learned 8th grade math doesn't mean you are ready for geometry.
That's actually accurate.
Yeah.
Unless you took geometry in 8th grade.
Well, then you would have took geometry and not 8th grade math. Of course, in California, it's just Common Core.
Well, when I was in school, it wasn't. We had regular math.
We did too. Yeah. That's why I said 8th grade math, because that's literally what it was called, 8th grade math.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, 100%. Megan, that's a great point there. I just want to be able to watch football in real life. Last year was hard not being able to go to a game. It was also hard watching games and having fake artificial pumped-in noise. It just didn't have the same feeling. It didn't have the same power, same intensity. Watching games last year was like it felt like a chore because I wanted to get excited and feed off the energy of the crowd or the stadium or whatever, and it's just like, oh, it doesn't exist. It's not there.
Yeah, you can watch highlights from any season of the 49ers, and if you watch last year's, it felt empty. That was the best way to look at it. It just felt empty. It's like an empty bowl of whipped cream. It's good for nothing. That's what it felt like. It wasn't great. We wanted all the goodness, but we couldn't drop the pumpkin pie that was the 49ers NFL inside of it and eat it. That wasn't there because it was in an empty bowl. There was no whipped cream, and pumpkin pie without whipped cream is just not as good.
It's not really pumpkin pie.
No.
It's
I like to have my whipped
travesty.
I like to have my whipped cream with a little bit of pumpkin pie.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good.
Not pumpkin pie with whipped cream.
No, it's the other way around. I got you. No,
yeah.
I know where you're at. I know where your head's at. Look, Monica, the glove's not here. That's because we're not cutting back in time today. So
it's true.
I don't know if you knew this or not, but there's a time stone. That's how we accomplish the cutbacks in time. That's how we do it. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah, you know what? David Campbell just brought up also the stupid end zone cameras that they would run to, and yes, I want to see the normal fan reaction.
Yes.
I want to hear the roar of the crowd.
Yes.
Even if it's not full stadiums, I will take partially filled stadiums because at least you're going to get fan reaction to real things. Just like watching, I know this is a baseball reference, but watching the Dodger fans boo Kenley Jansen last night when he blew yet another save to the Giants. You wouldn't hear that. They would have piped in normal music unless you're the Eagles when you actually booed your quarterback coming off the field last year. That actually happened. Artificial noise of a boo. So props to the Eagles for that one.
It's so great because it's exactly what the Philadelphia fans would have done.
They would have.
The organization has a pulse on the city when they have the person who they control be like, by the way, I know Carson's mental state. It's not great right now, right? He's been beat up. His back's been broken, right? ACL destroyed. He's just been beaten down every year here in Philadelphia. Got to hit him with the booze because the fans would do it too right now. You have to hit him with the booze even though they're not here. Yeah. God, I felt so bad for Carson Wentz that day, dude.
It was one of the wonderful moments of the season, and one of the great things about the artificial piped-in noise. I see Kenny asking about the helmet. The helmet would not fit in the scene that we have right now, so we do not have the helmet up.
Correct.
It could be making a comeback, when the horse is in studio with us and he's able to record, we can have it up. But right now, it wouldn't be necessary, so that's why you don't see it.
Yeah, it's an extra set piece that doesn't need to be there at this point in time. But it could come back. It definitely can make a comeback. It's not very far away, so don't worry. We know where it is.
And Alex Faulkner brought up a good point. Thank God we get to be in our own stadium and not on the road. That is something that's very important.
It's true.
The 49ers didn't have a great record last year. So
Vivian, thank you for the
thanks,
subscribe.
Vivian. Welcome to the Cutback crew. We
Newest member.
Yeah,
we love it.
It was a weird season. I think the whole thing felt weird. Then you had the injuries on top of that, so it'll be nice to get back to a little bit of what seems like normalcy. And hopefully the 49ers are going to be able to get out there and be normal. I know Kyle Shanahan wants to have normal practices and proceed normally, and hopefully we have 86 the injury bug, which I have doubled down that the wide receivers are not getting hurt. So we have 86 the injury bug, and we're ready to move forward with 49ers football. And beware Detroit, because we're coming for you. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Very well should be afraid.
Yeah.
If they have 86 the injury bug, then, as Gary keeps saying, right? Undefeated season, 17-0, first team in NFL history in the very first year of 17 games. It's going to happen on the 75th anniversary on the same year that the last time we played the Lions in week 1, we won a Super Bowl. It's going to happen all again at the same time.
That is true.
If that happens, Gary, then I'll tell you what, you're Nostradamus. You're coming on the show like all the time. We're just going to bring you on. You're just going to sit in the background and just
call the segment Gary Knows.
Gary Knows, and you just make predictions. Just predictions.
Yeah.
And we'll do it after while that's bold. So we'll make our bold predictions, and then Gary makes, just rational, reasonable. He just knows the future predictions, and it'll be great.
But yes, that playing Detroit 1981, 1984, and then winning a Super Bowl both years is a real thing. That actually happened. So that's always fun to kind of look at. Is it a real thing as far as do the players or coaches look into it? No, those things happened how long ago? One of them I wasn't even alive yet, so I'm not going to gleam into that too much, but it is kind of a cool story that they went into the Silverdome and they won those games. I'm sorry, they won one game against Detroit. They lost the other one. 81 they lost. So at least we have that in case the 49ers would happen to stumble and fall. We could at least go, hey, it's okay. In 81 they lost. So we're good, huh?
We're good.
Yeah.
Gary will be very sad, but it'll be all right.
I don't think they're going to lose that game.
No, that'd be very hard pressed. Matt Burgos would probably hope that they win that game, that the Lions win that game, and that the Niners lose. But
I don't think we can I don't think we overlook the Lions, and the 49ers are not going to overlook the Lions. 49ers are going to put in all that focus on winning that game first. That is a real thing. When you're a coach and players, and really a coach, you're trying to convince your team, don't look past this team. Play it one game at a time. One of my famous quotes that I used to always say is every time they would ask me what the other team was, we could be 5-6 games in the season. They are undefeated. Well, coach, I know they lost to so-and-so. No, they didn't. They're undefeated. They're always undefeated because if you play like the team is undefeated, you're going to give your best effort. And you give your best effort, you have an opportunity to win a football game. Luckily, these are pros, and they all can take that mindset and look at each game one game at a time.
Very well. Yeah, that's you have to. You have to approach that way. You have to approach one game at a time. Right, as Phil Classic would say, how do you beat an elephant? One bite at a time. You can't, attack the elephant all at once. You got to just slowly gnaw away at it. Right, 17-game schedule, huge, lots of opponents, tons of things, tons of obstacles. Right, each obstacle you approach it as its own set of things, and own set of problems. You deal with those problems. You get the W. You move on. If you're trying to attack them all at once, you're not going to get it accomplished. You're not going to be there. Cutback crew, you hit a lot of great questions in there. Gary with the hit the like button, which you'll love to see. Alex Faulkner with a great question here. Who is our bold prediction for Camp Star?
Ooh, really bold. Whoa. For a Camp Star, just somebody that's coming out of nowhere and playing well in camp, I'm going with Jalen Hurd. He's going to be the Camp Star. He's going to be the one that everyone's talking about coming out of training camp because he's going to be healthy and he's going to be out there doing a bunch of different stuff. I told you, doubling down, 14 or nothing. That's what I'm on. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to go with Brandon Ayuk for Camp Star. I think he is just going to elevate things to a whole new level. Getting to see he and Jimmy now in a second year, first full training camp together, being able to get that chemistry completely built up and ready to go. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do. And just the ways they're going to utilize him in the offense and open it up. If Jimmy looks like he's in the best shape of his life, so I want to see if Jimmy's going to be pushing the ball downfield, and if he is, how many times is he pushing the ball down the field to Brandon Ayuk? Hopefully all of the times. All of the times. Also, Samson Ebukam.
That's going to be a good one, too.
Samson Ebukam is going to impress people. ESPN still has him listed as a outside linebacker.
Lol.
ESPN, we do not run a 3-4. He's not an outside linebacker for the 49ers. He's going to have his hand in the ground. He said as much as an interview, it's time to get on board, change your depth chart. He's a defensive end, and he's going to get off the ball quick with a tremendous first step. If he can get to D Ford's level in first step, you have problems because he's faster than D Ford is right now. He's going to collapse his pocket in a big way.
I agree with you. Vivian, our new subscriber, which, again, shout out for that, had asked about Trey Lance. She had faith that they were going to draft Trey Lance. She had a lot of faith. She had faith in God, actually. I want to make sure, in God. They were going to draft Trey Lance. I love that a lot. And then she has faith that Trey Lance is going to be starting in week 1. She wants to know if we feel that same way.
I do not believe he's going to start in week 1. I have a tremendous amount of faith in Trey Lance, but I have a tremendous amount of faith in Kyle Shanahan. And Shanahan will make sure that Trey Lance is ready before he takes over. He's going to want this guy being confident. He's going to want him to understand the playbook. He's going to want to be able to unleash the full potential of Trey Lance. And until that is able to happen, until he's ready for that, he will sit behind Jimmy Garoppolo. He will groom and he will learn, and eventually he will attack it. I would say I look for Trey Lance to be the game one starter in 2022.
Yeah, I mean that's he's going to be the day one starter in 2022 for sure. And barring Jimmy getting injured, right? I don't think there's an opportunity for Trey Lance to get it this year. I think Jimmy's too motivated. I think Jimmy's too ready to prove himself. And I think the 49ers want Jimmy to be able to do that this year because they want to be able to move him and get something back for him going into the 2022 season.
And you it's something you know right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now you have Trey Lance and you think you know what you got.
True.
But with Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a known commodity.
Accurate.
So you at least know what you got, and you know you can win to a point with what Jimmy can do. So that you know you can get to a Super Bowl. You know you can get within 5-6 minutes of winning the Super Bowl. So you've made improvements all around the roster. I think we both think that this is a better roster than 2020 or than 2019. So you have that, capabilities.
Agreed. And Megan, you are correct. There's lots of great questions right now from the Cutback crew. So keep them coming, guys. Megan is correct. Keep them coming. And thank you for the super chat. Jason Ellsworth, another great question here. I mean, we got him. I'm so far scrolled up in the chat right now. It's kind of crazy. There's still a lot to get to. Do you guys think the 49ers have a fast start in week one this year, or the average 19 points a week one, average 29 points after that, and Jimmy comes out balling to prove a point? So Jason wants to know, are they starting hot, or they starting a little colder and then building to the hot?
They're coming out hot. They're coming out firing all cylinders this year. Kyle's going to put the pedal to the metal. He's out there to run people off the field this year. Last year did not sit well with him. He has a bad taste in his mouth. This team has a bad taste in their mouth. They're ready to get out there and prove it. Detroit is the first victim. I mean, they're going out there and they're going to handle these guys in a big way. Campbell's going to have a big learning adjustment, going to be a head coach now.
And Jared Goff has got himself one heck of a week one matchup.
And I think that they're going to want to unveil kind of what this new look 49ers offense is going to look like. Adding in Jalen Hurd with a healthy Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. The fact that you now have a dominant run game to go with that interior vertical game. Do I think they'll try to establish the run early? Yes. And once they do, they're going to take shots. They're going to make big plays down the field. Look for these guys to just be matchup issues. I wouldn't be shocked if they don't put 35 to 40 points up in week one.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me at all whatsoever. I think this defense has every capability of giving the offense tons of great field positions and tons of great opportunities. And if the Niners get out rolling and get a huge lead, don't be shocked if you do see some Trey Lance, maybe a little bit more than people anticipate. And I think the 49ers would love to do that. I think they would love to get him out there and get him some live game reps against a first-team defense, right, in an NFL season in which you can have him drop back, and it's not gadget packages, right? You're not putting him in for short yardage, things like that. You can get him out there and get him a series or two if the 49ers are rolling it up huge in that game. I think that's the goal. I think that's the mindset.
Yeah, I think it's all about just handling business, taking care of the team, and dominating. And I think they want to get this game under their belt. They want to get 1-0. Last year, they weren't able to do that. And this year, that's exactly what they're looking to do.
I agree with you. Jason Ellsworth with a great question here. Are they going to let Jalen Hurd participate in camp and risk getting injured, or they're going to ease him into it?
They're going to ease him in. But he's going to be a participant at some point. He's got to go out there and get in shape and be ready to go. They're not going to put this guy in bubble wrap. I think we'd all like that. But they're going to ease him in, and he's going to get some limited reps in the preseason as well. But the full goal for them is going to be getting this guy to the regular season healthy. So, yes, it will be a good plan set up by, the coaches and the training staff, and they will have this guy ready to go. That way, when it's time for me to get my 14 jersey, I can sport it on the show.
I'm looking forward to I will also get one with you at the same time. We can get them together, and we'll be 14 twinsies.
All right.
I like it.
Could be the two best friends
that anyone could have.
Yeah.
I love it.
All right. I like it.
Vivian, name 5 rookies that's going to start week one. I'm assuming she means on the 49ers, and I don't think there are 5 rookies on the 49ers that are going to start week one.
I think if I had to guess right now, as far as rookie starters, I would say that there's a better chance of none starting than 5 starting.
Agreed.
I think the one guy that has the best opportunity to start is Banks.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's the one that has the best opportunity to start. And then other than that, I think people would lean towards Trey Sermon, but I'm going to say that they're going to start with Raheem Mostert on the starting lineup, and that Trey Sermon and him will kind of,
I think,
alternate.
I think week one it's safe to say that Raheem Mostert may have more carries than Trey Sermon, but I think as the year progresses, it's going to get slowly towards even, if not Trey Sermon with more touches, because again, if the idea is you're moving to a more vertical run game, more chances to run vertically downfield, then you're going to give more of those beat up, bruising carries to a bigger back in Trey Sermon than you're going to with your speed guy in Mostert.
Well, I think part of it, though, is you have to look at the fact that he goes with the hot hand. Kyle Shanahan goes with the hot hand.
Very
if Wayne
true.
Gallman goes in and starts, tearing it up, Wayne Gallman's going to get more carries. If Elijah Mitchell goes in and starts tearing it up, he's going to get more carries. It's a hot hands type of thing for the 49ers. I think Raheem Mostert's the starter, though, but I don't think any rookie actually starts. Banks has the best option. I would not be shocked to see Banks start.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, and in fact, we have a video coming up on that soon, so you might want to tune in for that because it's going to be a really good one. That camp battle is going to be one of the hotter contested camp battles going into training camp this year. Jag with a great comment that he thinks Kinlaw is going to be the camp star, and you know what? That's fair.
It could be. I mean, that Kinlaw is a good one because I think last year Kinlaw was adjusting to the curve of coming to the NFL. Playing in this system, learning how Chris Kasarik wanted him to approach defensive line play, learning to stay low and getting off the ball. And now that he's a full year into it, he's going to explode onto the scene. I think we all expect Kinlaw to have a big year.
I'm hoping for it because if Kinlaw's having a big, huge year, then this D-line is even better than we already anticipate it to be. All of us expect Kinlaw to take an uptick, but if Kinlaw's uptick is from good to star and elite, then this defense is going to be at a whole other level.
If he's having a star to elite level play this year, the 49ers have the best defense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think it's a question.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah. Jason, another great comment here. Salah's had Goff's number in the past. Hopefully Ryan's can have the same success against Goff. He might end up having more because he's going to be a little more aggressive and creative with how he pressures the quarterback. And that Lions O-line is not very good.
Well, and Goff doesn't respond to pressure in his face.
No.
So the 49ers can do all kinds of blitzes, and even Fred Warner said that he's expecting to blitz more this year, that DeMeco Ryans told him that he was going to be put in more positions to be aggressive. I think it's going to be a very aggressive defense. I think the 49ers are going to confuse people. DeMeco Ryans is a very smart guy. He definitely was in all the meetings. He knows everything that Robert Saleh did to have success against Jared Goff. He will duplicate that, and he will add in some of his own wrinkles. And I feel sorry for Jared Goff because though there's a different defensive coordinator, Nick Bosa, D Ford, Eric Armstead, and those guys,
names are all the same.
they're still coming after you're behind.
That's accurate. Jared Goff could feel better if those pieces weren't there. All those pieces are in place.
Yeah.
Really, it's just going to be a different approach. It's going to be a lot of the same concepts, but different execution of those concepts and philosophy.
There will be similar concepts, and then there'll be some stuff that you've never seen before. Anytime that you get a new coordinator, they want to put in wrinkles and things that they want to add to the defense or to the offense, and you have to let them run with it.
What?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Everyone has a different point of view on how they see things. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes you have to rein them in.
And sometimes it's Thanos.
Yeah, it's true, I guess.
It's not great when it's Thanos.
No, definitely not.
No, and David, we did just hit your question. It was a great question, by the way. It segued right into where our conversation was taking us, which is this defense is going to change a little bit in terms of its dynamics, how it looks, how it functions, and the way it functions. And like you just pointed out and like you just talked about, and it's because you have a new person manning the helm defensively there, which means they have their view of defense, their way to make it successful. And DeMeco Ryans played in this league, right? So he's influenced not just by Saleh, but his defensive coordinators, the things that he worked on as a middle linebacker in football. So those things are going to bode well, I think, for Fred Warner, because DeMeco Ryans was a very successful linebacker in the NFL, and Fred Warner is a better talent than DeMeco Ryans was.
Yeah, and he was around Wade Phillips, and he was around some of the New England guys as well, defensive coordinators and stuff.
Absolutely.
So they were all 3-4 guys who like to bring like the blitz. This is not going to be a 3-4, but it could have 3-4 looks sometimes. You do have a 5-tech in Armstead. You could play Kinlaw inside. So they have the potential to do that in some looks. Bring Ebukam up off the outside with D Ford. Don't be surprised if you don't see a hybrid 3-4 looks sometimes. 49ers are perfectly capable to do it.
No, 100%. They definitely can. I'm really looking forward to it. Did he really say it? Wow, Don Burr said they had a top 5 O-line for the Lions. Interesting. I don't know who Don Burr is, but...
I've seen some takes on Don Burr.
It's a bold...
That's fine.
It's bold.
You can have a top 5 offensive line all you want. You don't have a top 15 quarterback.
Accurate also.
Your quarterback is literally hot garb.
Agreed.
But if somebody's going down there and saying it, that's fine. I mean, they have been trying to address the line. They've been trying to address their front seven on both sides of the ball. They're building from the interior.
Yeah, they have to, and they're about 2 more years away from having that O-line to a point where you can have a protected quarterback.
Yeah, they can protect Goff to a point, but not against this defensive line. Thank you, Jason Ellsworth, for the super chat. We really appreciate it.
Man, best Niners channel there is. I mean, that's
high praise.
That's really high praise.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We're gonna have to try and live up to that. There's a lot going on. So chat, I mean, we've been kind of going Q&As. We didn't announce Q&As per se, but we've been kind of doing it. So if there's any other questions that you guys have, guys and girls, because we got a nice little mix, and we got a new sub, Vivian, who's bringing that up. We really appreciate that. Jason Ellsworth, super chat finally popping up.
It did.
Stream Elwin's taking its sweet time getting that up there for everybody. But yeah, if you have questions, right now is the time. It is live Q&A time. It is Q&A time. It is Cutback Crew time. This is your opportunity to kind of steer this ship of the 49ers Cutback. Take us hopefully somewhere safe and where we're not going to crash into rocks and burn. But somewhere nice, a nice tropical paradise. We're going to have wonderful conversations about these 49ers because, man, there's been a lot of great news this week, and there's only better news coming because training camp is literally here, folks. It is around the corner.
It is here. And David Campbell hits on this. James Betcher coaching hire means there's more blitz schemes.
Mm-hmm.
That is 100% accurate.
It is.
That was a solid move by the 49ers front office, by the coaching staff, by Kyle Shanahan, bringing in James Betcher. He will help DeMeco Ryans. He will be invaluable in his learning process of translating to defensive coordinator in this league. That is a great understanding of what they want to do and how they're going to attack offenses. I like it. I think they're going to impose will on offense and defense. I think no longer they're going to let anyone dictate what happens to them. They're going to dictate everything. At times, Saleh would play like a bend and don't break. I don't think you're going to see that from DeMeco Ryans. I think this is going to be a pounce attacking defense, get after you, make you make split-second decisions, and when you don't do it well, we're going to cause turnovers and we're going to make plays. And if these guys have a huge plus turnover differential this year, the 49ers are going to be tough to beat. So that's why I think the 49ers are on track to be a very good team this year and to really cause issues all throughout this league. Like I told you, I think by week 3, when they absolutely decimate the Packers that on national TV and it's a primetime game, I think that's when everyone takes notice and everyone's like, uh-oh, the 49ers are back and better than ever.
Yeah, and this is a wonderful question. Jason asked, not Niners related, but is there going to be a team that can go 0-17 this season? That's tough.
I think it's really hard. I think even though the low-level teams have improved, I think someone said the Texans, right?
I think Jason had mentioned in his opinion that he thought that the Texans were the team with the best chance to do that. And if Deshaun Watson's not playing, then yes, that's possible. But they did get Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor is not a slouch.
Yeah, that might get him one.
Yeah, and that's all you need.
I mean, you would
all you need is one.
You would like to think you can win one game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say I don't expect anyone to go 0-17, but it sure could happen.
It definitely could happen, and I'm just off the top of my head looking at teams, right? Looking at organizations. I really don't feel like there's one team that could do it. There is a team that if the Philadelphia Eagles lose Jalen Hurts to an injury, then maybe because after that you have the Mullins man.
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe the Eagles, if they suffered that kind of a loss at quarterback,
maybe because I think that it would hinder their run game, and they already don't have a lot of experienced weapons at the wide receiver.
Well, I mean, I think you could say the same things about the Jets and the Jaguars. That if they suffer an injury at the quarterback position to one of their young guys.
But I think before one of those injuries occurs, they could still get a win. Unless
it happens in week 1.
That's true. If it happens in week 1, oh man, I don't know.
But you're right. I think Houston, and then maybe like you just said, maybe that's a possibility.
Is there any chance that the Lions go 0 on the year?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, and it's because we've seen Jared Goff before. He can win some games, or not win them, but not cost you games when he's not making costly mistakes and turnovers. So Detroit, no. Cincinnati's too improved, no. Philly is a team that we just talked about. The Raiders, I don't know if they're that bad.
No, they're going to win football games. They're going to be in the playoff hunt.
I don't know if I'm willing to go there, but they're not going to be a bottom barrel team, a bottom barrel feeding team. Carolina is an interesting one in that regard, but this was a team that, again, has relied on its defense for the last few years. I don't know if their defense has taken a huge step back, and they still have a lot of weapons on offense. I mean, this is the most weapons Sam Darnold's ever had.
Yeah. I don't see it. I think it's just I think Houston's the biggest one.
I think that's the one that sticks out in our mind. And now, granted, too, something could change and something could happen here in the next month and a half, 2 months, and you could have some guys go down and some injuries start piling up and mounting, and all of a sudden, right, there's a handful of teams or one team in specific that could very well drop that 0-17 on everybody. But at this point in time, I don't know if there is one.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Very good. Very good. Let's see here. We got Mostert running past the Packers at supersonic speed from Monica. I like that. Will there be any teams going into the season that has a good chance of a winning record but then tanking for Megan? So maybe they're doing really well, they're doing all right, they have some injuries, start to mount up, and then they just decide to tank it out.
I would say there's probably a good chance half the league does that. I think half the league has a potential to start well and not play well. It's just you're an injury or a couple injuries away, from your team drastically changing. I mean, if you could be the Seahawks and go out there and win the first 3 games and Russell Wilson go down and all of a sudden you're on your way out. I mean, that's just how it is. If the Cardinals lost Kyler Murray or, you're one quarterback injury away. So it could happen to anyone pretty much.
Agreed. Gary with a great quote there, which was, Niners are going to win every week except for the bye week. Gary, I want them to win the bye week too. So 18-0. 18-0. I'm going to be that guy.
Yeah, I would love a 17-0 season. That would be wonderful.
Caleb's also got a question. It's very important. It's about his Lucha Libre mask. He wants to know if he needs to get a red mask to go with the gold one he's already got.
I don't know. The one he's got is pretty sweet.
It is pretty nice.
I was digging it for sure.
Again, here's the thing, Caleb, right? You get more Lucha masks. That's more options. That's less opportunities to wear said sweet gold mask that you already have.
Yeah. I mean, if you're wanting to match it to attire, though, I mean, that's a big thing. If you're wanting to match it, then yes, you probably should get another mask.
What's the game plan?
Yeah.
Game plan can help us execute. Also, when's our gift getting here? What's going on here? You said you got the bubble wrap thing to ship it in, and it's not here.
It's probably just bubble wrap.
I showed up. I show up again every week for the live stream. I show up on Fridays, expecting there to be a gift. I expect to walk into studio and Ant to be like, hey, by the way, look at this cool package we get to open up on stream from Caleb, from KNDR Collectibles. For those of you who don't know first names, it's fine. And I'm like, okay, sweet. I'm super excited. And then I get here, and I look at Ant, and he just shakes his head and looks down. I'm like, gosh darn it. Gosh darn it. I've almost thrown a remote across the room, Caleb. I just want you to know that. Yeah. Almost done it.
We're hanging by a thread over here.
I'm losing it. I'm losing it over here. I really am. Jason, with a great question, can the NFL punish teams for purposely tanking?
I don't think they have anything set in their rules to do so. And there hasn't been a big, I guess they haven't never had this problem in the NFL compared to like the NBA, where it's obvious that they're just tanking. But in the NFL, I haven't really seen it. I don't think they do. I mean, there's just not as much incentive. I think this would have been the biggest year, right? Tank for Trevor, something of that nature to get one of your quarterbacks. But I'm not sure they will ever punish a team for that. I don't think it's that clear and evident. Plus, convincing a NFL roster to not go play hard is different than convincing an NBA roster to not play hard. Because in the NBA, if you have a couple guys that don't play hard, you can lose football or lose a basketball game. If you have a couple guys in the NFL, they just get hurt. You have to go full speed so you don't get hurt. So it is a different dynamic with football compared to like a basketball. So I don't think there's any tanking that goes on really in the NFL.
In the NFL, too, it's one of those things where as much as people talk about the NBA has done a great job of curtailing tanking, right? Like tanking. The draft lottery kind of actually incentivizes it a little bit because you don't have to be the worst team in order to get a draft pick, right? So you can stay relatively competitive and then towards the end of the season, phone it home, get yourself into the top 12, and now you have a shot at getting the number 1 overall pick. So my thoughts on the NBA draft lottery are just that it doesn't actually curtail tanking, it actually incentivizes it because it incentivizes you to be somewhat competitive until it's very obvious that you're no longer going to be a team that can make the playoffs, and then you can start phoning it in towards the end of the season, and you don't have to be the worst team to get the number 1 pick. In the NFL, you have to be the worst team to get the number 1 pick. And so you will see it occasionally, but you know what you won't see? You won't see 10 teams tanking. You're not going to see 10 teams doing this. In the NBA, you will see 10 teams sitting their best 2 or 3 players on a back-to-back against a rival because they need their maintenance rest day, when the reality situation is you're just trying to make sure you stay, you're staying 4 or 5 games away from the team behind you that's lost like 6 straight, right? Like teams do this in the NBA all the time because of the elongated schedule. NFL 17 games, a little more compact schedule, really, really hard to just sit your guys because you have to be the worst team in football. You have to be, because on any given day, one play can be the difference. There's too much variance in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. And I seen Caleb said, "I'm late. It's a family tradition." He does come by that honestly. Oh. That is a true statement.
Nice.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I understand that. There's also Megan can attest. There's a late family tradition on my side as well.
I mean, famously, my grandma who passed away, a while back, but we used to always say that she was going to be late to her funeral. That's how late she always was. Okay. My dad used to tell her to.
Well, hot dog.
My dad used to tell her, hey, an hour before time, so that way she would get there on time. So yeah.
True. Jack, I've been trying to research that and look that up. I cannot remember, when was the last time the Niners swept the division?
That I don't know off the top of my head. I don't remember the last time that happened.
I can't remember that. And sadly enough, when you type it in to Google, it doesn't pop up right away. So we'll have to do some digging.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
We'll definitely look into that one for sure. Indeed. Megan, how dare you? I'm never dramatic. I don't know what you're talking about. Sudfeld equals Sudafed. Agreed, Gary. That is accurate.
True.
It's very accurate. But look, I mean, there's been a lot of crazy things going on in the NFL too. I mean, just the other day, just yesterday, and really today was when the news was kind of breaking and really circulating. Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams have both breaking off contract talks with the Green Bay Packers. I was waiting for the talking heads in the 49ers community and all the SI peoples and everyone to be like, now is the time. You go out and you trade for Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams in one pack and bring them both to San Francisco and then re-sign them for long-term deals. I was waiting for it to happen. It didn't happen, thank God. But if you're a Green Bay Packers fan, God, that's got to be nervous.
Oh, I'm sure that's frustrating for them. And as far as that goes, those same talking heads can't talk about that because they're all in 2023 already.
Sure.
They're living in 2023, talking about how bad the salary cap is for the 49ers, and congratulations on that. As far as, Davante Adams cutting off talks, that is smart on his part. He found out that Aaron Rodgers turned down a contract extension.
And a large.
Yeah, if Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be there in the future, you probably don't want to be there either. So hold off, wait until Aaron's thing gets taken care of, and then you can take care of yourself. So that is that part. And then I did see David Campbell talking about DeDe Westbrook. Yes, DeDe Westbrook is starting to meet with teams. I think he's going to Seattle tomorrow to meet with them as well.
Yep.
So the 49ers have been rumored, once again, in air quotes, to have interest in DeDe Westbrook. I believe we had heard about this actually before, maybe like a month or 6 weeks ago, that DeDe Westbrook was a possibility for the 49ers, that he was kind of being tied there. Would they take a look at him, call him, see what his number is? Yeah, I think so. Because he would be an upgrade over what we just got with Webster. So,
I mean, he's a massive, massive upgrade. This is a guy who's had big years in the league and then quiet years in the league, and I think it was just a system rule issue there for him in Jacksonville.
Yeah,
because he has a lot of potential. He's still only 27 years old, and they can get him on the cheap, and who knows? But yes, he does have a workout confirmed with the Vikings tomorrow.
I thought he worked out with the Vikings today.
Confirmed workout with Vikings Saturday is what I'm reading here.
Okay.
So maybe he had like a little prep early thing with him, and the main workout's tomorrow. I don't know. And then if they don't pull the trigger and sign him, he'll be flying out to Seattle on Sunday for a workout with the Seahawks on Monday. And the Bengals and the 49ers are apparently also in the mix and conversating with him. So if the timetable holds true, right, Saturday workout, Monday workout, you could see him in San Francisco working out as early as most likely Wednesday or potentially on Friday.
I think if I'm the 49ers and I'm not really interested in him, I just want him to go to Minnesota. Or, just don't end up with Seattle. End up with Minnesota or the Bengals. I don't know how much interest the 49ers would have in him. I mean, they definitely keep wanting to improve the wide receiver room, but I don't know if he is somebody they need to stack on what they already have. I think they have guys that do similar things as him. So it is an interesting concept and interesting thought, but what his number is going to dictate how much interest they have. $4.4 million goes real quick when you start signing other guys. And you want to have that freedom and flexibility in case you have an injury to bring in a veteran. There are other veteran wide receivers out there that are still out there too. because I seen that Michael Thomas is going to be missing the first part of the Saints season, so they're going to be looking for a receiver as well. And there are some veteran options, maybe not guys that are high up on the list anymore, but names you're familiar with because they used to be great.
100%. I mean, you still got the Larry Fitzgeralds of the world out there because he hasn't officially come out and said he's retiring.
No, he hasn't.
So, I mean, he is still technically a name that is out there for people to be going after and to be targeting.
Dez Bryant as well.
I keep forgetting about good old X Factor Dez, right? I keep on forgetting about that. There's still tons of options at the wide receiver position, and it's really just going to come down to what teams are going to be targeting and going after what, right? With Michael Thomas missing a portion, the Saints now are definitely going to be in the market for somebody. A Golden Tate's still out there as well, I believe.
Oh, yeah, Golden Tate.
So there's still plenty of guys who can have an impact in this league and still do some things. It's going to be interesting to see what moves and what decisions these teams make and where they want to go.
Yeah, and Jason just brought up about he had met with them before, but he couldn't pass the physical. So if he's cleared now, then they would definitely have interest if they were interested before.
100%.
So we'll see if he actually makes a trip to San Francisco, and if he does, if they let him get out of the building. I would say Minnesota's going to do their best to not let him out of the building.
I would do if I'm them, yeah, I would want to, because I feel that the wide receiver 3 position for them is probably it's a little bit of a struggle.
Yeah.
Right. So he definitely could do that there. That's going to be very interesting indeed. Tim Patrick's still available. Cedric Wilson's still available. Larry Fitzgerald. Trying to see if there's any other big names. You brought up Dez Bryant. Tavon Austin's still technically out there and available. Josh Gordon's still out there and available.
Sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face with that
one. Josh Doxson's an interesting one because that's a guy who's had a lot of ups and downs and has been he's continued to make himself active on rosters as a possession receiver. So that's a name to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, ultimately, I don't really think the 49ers are going to bring in another receiver.
No.
I think that they have a full roster going into training camp, which, first practice is on Wednesday.
It's true. We all thought it was going to be
Saturday,
and now it's twist.
Mm-hmm.
Big twist. But they realize I have class.
Yeah.
I can't believe these guys. Why do they do this? Why do they do this to us?
I don't know.
It's almost like they don't
do
watch
it, though.
It's almost like they're not watching us enough. Come on.
Come on, 49ers. It's time for you to work around our schedules.
Yes.
Let's work around yours.
Yes, that's how this is supposed to work. We're so entitled now. We're entitled YouTubers. This is how this is now. Oh, man. We should sign Fitz just to troll the cards. I don't know if that would be a troll.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be a troll. This was still a younger Larry Fitzgerald. It would be a funny troll and a big psych there. But I don't see Fitzgerald playing for anyone else other than Arizona. I think if Arizona's not re-signing him, then he's retiring.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably just waiting to see if there's a camp injury. What if Tampa Bay suffers an injury? Wouldn't they give him a call? Maybe he'd want to go there and try to win a championship.
Maybe.
It all depends on what Larry's thoughts are, if he's trying to win a championship or not.
It's true. Megan asked, who's the best matchup you guys are looking forward to watching? Niners player versus another team or player?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
I
think the biggest matchup I want to see, because it was such a problem in the past, is I wanted to see the 49ers defensive line against Kyler Murray. I want to see where the speed was such an issue last year. I want to see the turbo increased, gold rush, get after this guy, and I want to see how much of an impact Ebukam, D Ford, Nick Bosa have off the edge against Kyler Murray, because last year early in the season and then later, he's just an issue when he gets outside the pocket.
Yeah, I agreed with you there. One that I'm really interested to see, our front four against Derrick Henry and the Titans. That's going to be a fun one. That's going to be a battle.
Maybe front seven, because we also have undersized linebackers that are going to have to bring this guy down.
You had to go there.
I'm just saying, we are built on speed.
It's true.
The one thing we do have then when we play them is we have the big guys in the middle.
Yes.
Kinlaw and Kerr, DJ Jones.
You might see a lot of Kinlaw Kerr that game.
Especially on early downs, yes, 100%. But Tannehill will be in a world of hurt going against those outside pass rush, and that's another guy they need to chase down. I see Monica saying no more morning games. Yes, I feel you, because here on the West Coast, when you work at night and then game comes on at 10, that is a rough day, and unfortunately, it gets me every time. I used to just DVR and start watching it later. Now I have to be real time, so I have to know what's going on at the moment, so it's kind of changed my schedule.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. It's almost like you have a podcast or something to do.
I know. I used to start watching it at like 11 and then, catch up by like the third quarter. But
He did. It was one of those things where when there was morning games, I had a strict no text to Ant policy.
yeah.
I wouldn't send a text message in the group message or to Ant personally about the game. I would just wait. I wouldn't send anything. I'd watch the game, and if I didn't like what was going on, I would suffer in silence. And then I know Ant would wake up because then Ant would start to text about something and be like, all right, he's starting to watch the game. So now it's just about finding out where he's at in the game. And, if maybe he didn't give me a context clue, but I'll literally just be like, hey, where are you at?
Yeah.
And then he'd be like, oh, send this. And then it's like, okay, now we can talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, that's how it is when you work at night.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta make sacrifice. You gotta get it done. Will James Berg just make the 53-man roster, or is it a 55-man roster? Regardless of the size of the roster, I don't think James Burgess is making the roster.
I think he has an outside chance.
You really do?
Yeah, I think because they made a cut.
Are you going to stake a Project 53 roster spot on that right now?
I don't know. I don't have to do it right now.
Yes, you would. Yes,
no,
you do.
No, I don't.
No, this is how it's. No swinging scales. No sliding scales, bro.
It's not a swinging scale. We just haven't put out a 53-man roster, and until we do so, I don't have to decide on this.
Accurate. I will decide for you. No.
Okay, you're deciding no. I'm saying it's still up in the air.
Oh no, you misconstrued. I made the decision for you. It's a no.
Yeah, no one makes decisions for me there, Turbo. I make my own decisions, and I just
Turbo.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole lot from him on film. I've seen some decent stuff, but I think that there's been at least a door open there. There's a possibility, and he is a bigger linebacker.
That is the one thing he does have going for him is size. He's one of the few guys that we have that is a bigger bodied linebacker.
And you never know what could happen when you get him into a system where he fits, what he could do. I'm just saying, keep that in your mind as you're building your 53-man roster.
Accurate.
I like that question, by the way. That was good.
It's a good question. Yeah. I like it. It got some nice quippy banter going on around here in the 49ers. Cutback. We like that. You got to keep things light and loose and ready to go. Monica, that's a great point. 58-man rosters. I like that. She wants to see the roster bump up a little bit. I think everyone would like that, but that also means more money.
It does. It means
less money for players.
It does. It means the players would have to, give up some money, because with an expanded roster means cheaper salaries for themselves, and that changes the game because the owners aren't giving up more money. They're not going to raise the salary cap just because you have more players. They're just going to have to spread it over the amount of players. So the NFLPA had to agree to expanding the practice squads because they get money. So it's all a kind of a money game. So will it go up? Yes. Don't be shocked here in the next 3 or 4 years if it's up to 60, because they're going to be playing an 18-game season at then, which means more TV money, which means the owners are okay paying a little bit extra.
Absolutely.
And the players will be making more, so they'll be okay giving more.
Exactly. Kyle thought you said Turbo. That's great. If he had said Turbo, I would have cried.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a Turbo.
I did not say Turbo.
Thank God.
That would also fit.
Yikes. Big yikes. I'm starting to tear up and getting emotional over here. It's not good. Oh, man. I'm really excited, man. I cannot. We just wake up tomorrow and they just decide training camp starts tomorrow.
I am happy that training camp is going back to normal.
Me too.
Not a shorter training camp. We get real training camp. These guys get out there and get to compete. They get real reps, the reps that we've been wanting them to get. And
dude, can we talk about the fact that we get to actually talk about real football now? Not like the speculation is almost over.
Yeah, it's real things, breaking down real things.
This is our favorite part of football. His and I's both. It's the coaching aspect of it, right? Like getting to watch actual film, watch practices, watch games, watch performance, evaluate, critique, right?
Yeah.
Try and what can we do to fix it? How can we course correct? Things like that. This is the best part, and we're just getting to. It's just gonna get started. And this scary part is, right? We're gonna blink, and it's gonna be end of the season, and we're gonna be getting into playoffs. It goes by so fast.
I'm going to make a public service announcement.
What PSA? Okay.
Once training camp starts, you are going to get videos that are going to grade performances of players in practice.
I love it.
Do not pay attention to that. Listen to what happened and then evaluate your own self. If somebody wasn't on practice, they should not get an F. That's not number one. Also, what they are doing in practice is very, you have to know exactly what the situation is, how it's, how they're being taught, what exactly is going into it. All of it needs to be examined. It can't be, he took 4 reps, did nothing pass rushing. How do you know? It's just like Kinlaw last year. How do you know he wasn't pushing someone back into, that was his whole goal?
How do you know that while the rest of the team is working on a specific drill,
Yes.
that the individual player has been asked to work on a specific skill set or a specific thing?
Yes, that is exactly 100%. And you're going to see a ton of takes about what happened in training camp practice. And you will have no particulars on what was actually going on. Saying 7-on-7 or 11-on-11 is not enough because you don't know what exactly they're working on as far as what their reads are. You also don't know what Kyle Shanahan, what Mike McDaniel are telling these guys in the pocket. When you hear Jimmy made an errant throw, first you could need to know if the receiver was supposed to be there, where the receiver was supposed to be, and if they told him to specifically throw to that guy or not. There are all kinds of things.
It might be one of those things, yeah. You might have a situation, right, where coaching staff is doing a 7-on-7 or an 11-on-11 situation.
Yeah.
They're watching certain guys. They're seeing a guy who feels, I'm the third guy in the progression. I know that. Right? He dogs his route a little bit. They go through for a couple more minutes. Same sort of similar scheme gets called where he's the third guy in the route. That guy's out there, and they break it, and Kyle walks up over to Jimmy. He's like, hey, man, no matter what, you're putting this ball to him.
Yeah.
I want to see if he's going to go fight, whether he's open or not. I want to see if he's going to fight. And Jimmy drops back. He goes through his progression reads and throws the ball into triple coverage at a guy, again, because he's instructed to do so, and they want the young receiver or whatever to work. That happens all the time. I can't tell you how many times I told my quarterback, when I told Zach when I was coaching him, hey, they should be right now based on the down and dip. We're running, we're doing live practice, scrimmage and practice or whatever, and it's 3rd and long. They should be going cover 3 here. All right. We should be throwing the ball most likely this situation, but this guy's been dogging it. I want you to throw this corner out no matter what. Even though there's going to be a guy sitting on it, just throw it.
Well, when you're in practice, results are not the most important thing, right?
It's execution.
It is. It's the technique, how they were handling, how they made their reads. It's not exactly the results. So when you're getting fed what the results were, it doesn't matter. If you want to tell me that his technique was perfect, that he was in the right spot, if it's a DB and he was in his back pedal and he played right on him and he flipped his hips and he got his hand on his hip and he was running right with him, and when the ball was in the air and the hands went up, his eyes went to the ball and he put his hand in the right spot in his hands and he made the play, I'm going to tell you that is a fantastic play. If you just told me the guy had a pass breakup and I didn't see what coverage he was in, I didn't see what he was doing, how do I know that it was a good play and he wasn't just in the wrong spot and got lucky? So evaluating players is a lot more than just the results. The end results are not what's most important. What's most important is the process and how they play, the technique, what they look, how they look when they're doing it. Is everything fluid? Are their eyes in the right place? All that's important. And when you look at it from that point of view, it changes football forever.
It's not where you end up, it's how you got there.
Yep.
How you got to that point, to that end point. Right? Because here's the thing. You can get to the end point and get to the desirable outcome incorrectly, and then when we get into season, it could happen that way a few times, but eventually that's going to catch up to you. And you know where you're not going to end up? You're not going to end up in a Super Bowl, which is where you want to belong.
Yeah, and when they go into film and watch practice, they're not going in there like saying, "Oh, great breakup on this." No, what they're saying is, "Look at you right here. Look what you did. Look how your hips were. Look at the false step. Look at this right here. This is what you need to do to fix it. When you do this, you won't barely get there to make the play. You'll make an interception."
Yes.
There's so much more that goes into it. You break down every little aspect and element of these guys' game.
Mm-hmm.
That is what real people look at. Coaches look at that, not results. So when you're listening to a media member tell you what they see, think about who that media member is, and then think if they're looking at it from a football perspective and in that aspect, or if they're looking from a results. If you're getting only results when it comes to practice, you're not getting the full intel of what you need. That's why I want to get us to practice, because I want to watch these guys and break it down like this guy is doing this in practice. I see this. I guarantee we will be on a different wavelength than a lot of people in the way we evaluate these guys.
Matter of fact, you might be finding yourself drifting more and more towards the cutback for all of you new people who are watching who are you're just not quite sure yet, right? You don't know whether or not you want to hit that subscribe button and become a member of the Cutback crew. Listen, I get it, but just do it.
Yeah.
You won't regret it. And the best part about subscribing is free. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't even cost your time. You hit that subscribe button, you get a little bit of a notification as to when we go live, when our content goes up, and you get to tune in for whatever you want and whatever much of our content, however much of it that you like or you enjoy, you get to tune in for that much, and there's no other obligation to you. It's glorious. And the best part, if you end up absolutely hating us, you can always unsubscribe.
That is true. And if you absolutely hate us, I feel sorry for you.
I agree. I also agree.
I don't.
We're not that hateable.
Well, and we don't hate you. Even if you unsubscribe, we don't hate you.
We still love you.
I'm not about hate. I'm not about that.
Well, about the love?
Well, I'm about football. That's what I'm about.
That too, and the connection?
I'm pretty sure if you see my heart, it is in the shape of a football.
I think that you're the one being dramatic now. The first time in show history.
Dramatic.
Or
realistic.
Definitely dramatic.
Have you ever seen my heart?
No, but it's literally physically impossible as someone who...
There's laces on it.
Maybe there's from stitches?
Maybe.
Oh, dang. All right, well, maybe
you
I'm
never
wrong.
know.
Maybe I'm wrong.
You don't know what my heart looks like.
That's true.
Don't judge me, man.
Everybody love everybody. ELE. Should say it right here behind me. ELE. Everybody love everybody. A couple more questions. Megan had asked, what's your take on the Cowboys this year with Dak coming back? Same old.
Yeah, Dak's going to make plays. Their defense is still bad. They got to improve that way. They got good receivers. Overall, they're not a threat in the NFC East. They're not a threat in the NFL. They're not a threat in the NFC. I think that they have an opportunity to win 7-8 games this year.
Yeah, that's fair. And if the NFC East continues to struggle like they had in the past, then that unfortunately may be enough to get a team into the playoffs. Although I think this year 9 wins is going to be the minimum for that conference.
Jason gets me.
I like it.
Yes.
The veins are the laces.
The veins are the laces.
It's not how that works. Veins are veins, folks. Veins are veins. Monica asks, which player gets the most touchdowns this year?
From the 49ers?
Yes.
That is a good question.
That is.
Well, I'm going to have to say it's a non-quarterback because that would be easy, right? If you went with the quarterback, he's probably going to get the most touchdowns. So it'll have to be somebody that's not a quarterback or that would be too easy. So, you know what? I think it's going to be, as much as it pains me to say, no, it doesn't pain me at all. It's going to be Deebo Samuel.
Okay.
And I think I think it's really going to be close between Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle.
Okay.
I think all those guys are going to have a big time game or big time games this year, and they're going to make plays. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's either one of those guys.
I am going to go with George Kittle. I think that the addition of all the other pieces that they've gotten offensively, I just think George Kittle is going to be too hard of a matchup in red zone situations.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be able to utilize him in a lot of different ways. And I think he's going to return to the big play, George Kittle, that we've seen in the past, breaking the big long ones. There's going to be more times where he's going to get one-on-one matchups and be able to eat. So I just think George Kittle has the best opportunity to break out and lead the team in catches and lead the team in touchdowns.
Yeah, and once we get past preseason, don't be surprised if I don't change my vote. And it's number 14. It could happen. We'll see. That's
bold.
That's
really bold.
But no, I'm sticking with Deebo as of right now. I think it's going to be close.
That's a safe one.
Yeah.
Mr. Faulkner, great question here. Trey Sermon fantasy outlook. A lot of different ways to talk about the Trey Sermon fantasy outlook because you can talk about it from a perspective of him leading the backfield. You can talk about it with him sharing in a role. It really comes down to the league you're playing in, how high running backs are valued, and point totals for touchdowns, things of that nature. And then rosters, how your roster stacks. Is your flex positions, is it a wide receiver tight end or is it a wide receiver tight end running back? There's a lot of different ways to break it down. Safe bet with Trey Sermon, mid-round pick. Probably around 6 on. Safe going with the Trey Sermon because it's a guy who could lead the backfield and get a lot of touches. If you're in a league where running backs are going and flying off the boards early, then go with Trey Sermon and you can go safely with Trey Sermon round 3, round 4. Probably earlier than he should go unless he emerges from camp as the lead guy, which is going to be very hard for him to do. If he emerges the lead guy, you got to go round 2. Round 2, potentially round 3. Don't be crazy and go round 1. Safely in round 2, you'll be fine. And if you have trades, trade back, get some draft capital, and then get Trey Sermon late in round 2. But yeah, if it's a standard traditional draft, I wouldn't be taking Trey Sermon before round 6 right now. At this point in time, we get out of training camp. That very well could change, so just stay tuned.
Yeah, that was a well-thought-out answer. It seems like somebody that's already put a lot of thought into this about what they're going to do in their fantasy leagues. And
maybe I have a lot of fantasy leagues coming up this year, and I guess PSA, an announcement for everybody. The Cutback Discord is getting really close to being finalized and completed. I've been putting a lot of work in getting the channel set up,
nice,
getting it all set up with commands and bots and all that fun stuff. So the Cutback Discord is getting ready to be launched and available. And the best part is, Ant, we're going to make it available to every single person who is subscribed to the channel. Now, there will be specific channels on the Discord that will be for members only and other things that we have coming in the future, specifically for the fantasy leagues and all that other fun stuff. But the Discord channel itself will be available for you to chat with us, chat with the Cutback crew when we're not live and we're not doing stuff, so you guys can stay connected and stay up to date on everything 49ers and everything 49ers Cutback.
Are you sure you asked for my permission on this? I don't remember giving you permission to let everyone contact me at all hours of the day.
I mean, listen, you can turn off the notifications and snooze it and all that fun stuff. It'll be okay.
Do I look like a kind of person that can go away from football and not talk football? No, 100% no.
So maybe Ant will be banned from Discord.
I don't think so. I will be involved. I will be there. I was just teasing. It's funny.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun though. Discord is gonna be great. It's gonna be a great time. And it's gonna be a great way. Again, no strings attached, nothing. You're subscribed to the channel. You're gonna be able to talk with. Chat with us in the text chats, be able to chat with the Cutback crew, get notified when videos go live. I mean, it's a great resource because, sometimes YouTube doesn't notify you when videos go live. I know that happens. So Discord will hopefully supplement that and get you guys communicating with us and just up to date with everything 49ers.
Yeah, 100%. Looking forward to it. Lots of big announcements coming in the future. We're working on a lot of cool stuff. I don't want to let out anything else out of the bag, but we got plenty coming up. More great stuff. You don't want to miss it. So make sure you're subscribed. So you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time. But also follow us on our socials. At times it's going to pick up, especially over training camp. Things are going to pick up, and there's going to be a lot of 49ers news. And we're going to want to discuss it with you. So make sure you do that as well because it's always a fun time.
Absolutely. It's a great time. The 49ers Cutback is the place to be. This is one of the best communities on YouTube. It's one of the best channels on YouTube. I may be biased when I say that, but it's okay. You can just take my word for it. I wouldn't lie to you about this. I feel the Cutback crew feels the same exact way as we do on this. This channel is special. You all are special.
Yes.
Jason had talked about this was one of the better live streams he had been a part of and one of the better live streams we've done. Well, guess what? Part of that is all of you.
It is.
The great questions, the engagement, the things that you guys are bringing out there and putting out there for us to talk about and discuss, the topics and the ideas that you are throwing at us and the questions you want answered. That drives this content. Is what makes it so special. You all are what make this channel so special, so we greatly appreciate everything you do for us.
Yeah, it's a group effort. I mean, that's why we're sporting the Cutback Crew shirts, because it's a group effort, and we all work together, and we all talk together about 49ers football, and that's what it's about. It's about connecting, having a good time talking football, talking 49ers football in particular, and just getting ready for the season, because it's almost here. We're hyped. By the time we have our next live stream, the 49ers will be in training camp, and things will be going on. And we'll be into it. The full fray will be on. We're looking forward to all the questions and all the answers. We'll let you guys know when we go to camp what it looks like and who is there. If you're not able to get there yourself, if you are able to get there yourself, get there, enjoy the opportunities.
And if you're going to be there the same time as us, then let us know and we can say hey.
We'll all go together. We'll be wearing our Cutback gear, and we're going to be down there sporting them, letting everybody know what's up. I'm going to be out there pointing out why I understand football and why things are the way they are to some people that maybe I don't think understand it as well. I'm going to do that for fun. So, yeah, there's a certain part of me that just enjoys it.
I know it's a really funny part of it actually.
Yeah,
it's great. Man, this was a great live stream. This was a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, Cutback crew. We love y'all. We're excited for everything that's still coming on this channel and all the great things and all the great content we still got coming your way. If you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. We're coming up on season. This is when our content goes from great to next level.
Yeah.
Next level. Some of our best content is in-season content, and we're just now getting to that point. So if you're not subscribed, become a member of the Cutback crew today. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that notification bell. That way you're notified for all of our future videos and all this future incredible next level content.
And Alex is not lying. The content goes to a different level. We do some things that if you just came around the last like 4 or 5 months, you haven't seen us do yet. It's exciting. We have a lot of fun. And we're going to have even more times where you can be involved in what we do. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait for it.
Season 2 is just around the corner. Make sure you're a part of it. And I think I know what time it is.
It's time to chalk another one up.
With the Wolfpack shirt.
I know, it's perfect.
This is perfect. It doesn't get any better than
this episode was too sweet.
Too sweet indeed.
From the alley-oops at Keysar to the glory days at the stick, From who's got it better than us to brick by brick, it's always the 49ers way. From off-season to game day,